Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Welcome to SAC as we're gearing up for Season 6, Tournament 2. We got some exciting matches coming up for you today. I am Toma. I'm going to be one of your commentators today. And on the other side of the mic, we have...
Hi, everybody. I'm Saf. I'm also going to be commentating with Toma today here on SAC S6 Tournament number 2. How are you doing today, Toma? It's a beautiful morning that we have here on the IPL's Twitch channel.
I'm doing so fantastic. Very excited to be here today. Very excited to see these matches coming up. Our first match we have xpresso versus Frostbite plus TNT. I think going to be a very excellent matchup here. What do you expect to see out of this, Saf?
I'm expecting to see some really good matches happening today. Really interested to see what kind of comps we're gonna have going on, and we see an E leader already right out the start, and a double splash happening as well.
Yes.
And we see. Whoop. Sorry about that. Our stream on our side isn't quite working, but right out the starting gate, we see that Frostbite is actually going to take the zone first and ending at the 89 mark, with xpresso coming in and preventing them from getting any more points there.
Okay, we'll hold it here. We see Frostbite right now holding quite a bit of the mid, very purple, as they're able to hold all this space very well.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, technical difficulties, folks. Anyways, we have xpresso now taking the zone, and they're ticking down the clock here, and we see that there's at least 2 people up on plat for Frostbite, kind of trying to push their way in, and the Wiper doing a really good job of just kind of getting some ink down and applying some pressure, and now we see that the zone turns over back to Frostbite.
Yes, absolutely. Seeing Safra come in, getting that pick there. Very excellent work as Frostbite works to reestablish control. Now taking back that neutral zone and looking to be able to push forward, pushing this ink brush, seeing if they can get a spot out. They do before the jump comes out. But goes down. xpresso not going to just let them come in here and hold, as they're going to be gearing up here to come back and try to neutralize this zone.
Yeah, and it looks like the E leader on the side of Frostbite is applying some really great pressure here. You could see that Pincher was trying to push in a little more to get some more ink, but Sungura was not really going to give them the space to do that. Unfortunately, getting taken down by the bomb there, but xpresso getting the wipeout on Frostbite and making a really great effort on breaking up into their plat and applying the pressure just exactly where they need to. But I don't think Frostbite's going to go down without a fight here, because as you can see, all members are now up on the map, respawned, ready to go. We have a crab getting popped with a second crab at the ready. But we see that the bow is doing a really good job of just kind of maintaining mid and making sure to keep the ink down where they can, and while the more aggressive side of xpresso is fighting on plat.
Yes, and we saw a great move from that splash there, trying to do their best to stall out that crab tank from painting zone, and xpresso was actually able to hold that in neutral a much longer than they would have otherwise, but Frostbite getting those picks that they needed to come back in and stop the timer before xpresso was able to get the lead.
Yeah, and we see now too. Oh, that was a beautiful pick by Sungura. Very beautiful pick. Wrong place and wrong time for the Bush player, unfortunately. Oh, and another player going down, a Bab going down on the side of Frostbite. Frostbite, it looks like they're kind of struggling to get back out of platform. xpresso's doing struggling to get out of platform. But Frostbite's doing a really good job of applying the pressure, especially after a soft wipe. They're doing a really good job of holding players back and making sure that the people can't bust out into mid and kind of get the ink down that they need.
They were, and we're able to see in the last minute fight there for the zone that Frostbite is able to just have that extra little bit of paint that they needed to be able to turn the zone back their way, with xpresso really almost being able to get that there. I think a very impressive display. Last minute they were almost able to just break through, but just an unfortunate pick, I think, can show that that can change the game, especially in these last minute altercations.
Yeah, and especially I have to give a hand to Sungura there during that game using the E leader, and kind of they were like really looking like doing a really good job at looking for picks. Because you could tell that the double splash on the side of Frostbite was really trying, or I'm sorry, the double splash on the side of xpresso was trying to kind of break out and try to get, like, not only get some paint on mid, but also looking for picks and trying to find a good spot for crab setups. But Sungura was doing such an excellent job of making sure that they could not find those places to post up and use those specials, or find spots for putting ink down where they needed it.
Yes, absolutely, for sure. I think we're going to see great plays coming out of them on both sides on Sturgeon Shipyard as well. And I think it's going to be a great map that we're going to see, especially for like those buckets, the machines that can kind of slosh up onto those ledges, move the E leader. I think those can be very vital for the team's success here.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see too how xpresso is going to handle that E-liter range coming from Frostbite, especially because Irito is a great tri-stringer player, but that seems to be the longest range that they tend to use. So, and especially with you have Pinscher, Herman, and Tyuser, you have them using shorter range, more aggressive weapons most of the time. And so I'm interested to see how they are going to be able to displace that E-leader from looking at them. Just because seeing at that first game, the leader was doing such a great job of identifying picks and especially like where they needed to.
Yes, I definitely think maybe one of the keys you could see coming out here, as I said before, is using these ledges and having a Triuster's machine being able to start the initial move of that leader and having Eerie to follow up with those explosion rounds, which can constantly force the E-leader off of that snipe if they're able to get the initial move on it. I think that could be a huge key for xpresso here.
I agree. And we see Frostbite is maintaining the same composition with the double splash going on, but you also have a splash on the side of xpresso as well. So we have 3 crabs coming out to play in this game.
Yes, we sure will see them coming out to a little bit of a crab rave, as we already see one crab coming out from the side of xpresso, trying to gain control of this kind of mid area around the tower so that they can be able to safely push it. We see members going forward, but the ink brush goes down early on the push. The splash here looks like they're going to be a little bit forced back as they just kind of get bombarded by torps and burst bombs and being pushed by this wiper and splash.
Yeah, and Safford doing a really good job of getting Crab up on that spinner, popping it at the right time. We see Bab going down, unfortunately, but also trading with the other splash, or with the splash player on xpresso, and a Booyah coming out. E-leader posted up on the spinner. It's an excellent place for them to be. xpresso is going to have to make sure that they can get that E-leader displaced, especially because they don't have as much range to work with.
They definitely are going to, especially now with them starting to take control of tower. This mid is very blue, and this E-leader is now going to be riding the tower back in this vulnerable position. But we see the ink brush moving around and doing exactly what xpresso needed to do to try to stop that push.
Yeah, and we see Hermit here with the ink brush applying like really good pressure, and it looks like they are doing a really good job of working with another player on their team. You can see just in these few seconds they've been staying really close to Pinscher and offering them a lot of support, a lot of ink going down in support so that Pinscher is able to move around properly. But we see Irito now on the tower with the Tri-Stringer. I was worried about them at first, but it looks like Tri-Stringer is working in xpresso's favor here. Singura and Reborn are both pushed back pretty far, but if Singura is able to get in a good position, then this could be trouble for xpresso.
And I think we can see here now this Tri-Stringer doing, as it goes down, but doing before what Tri-Stringer does best was zoning out areas of the map and making it accessible for teams to move forward through. But Frostbite able to get that vital pick on it. Now with xpresso out of their base, they're able to push forward now and have put down a lot of blue in mid to prepare for a push of their own.
Yeah, and that definitely, I think that definitely was helping them out quite a bit. They already used that double killer whale to kind of push back xpresso and to stop their push at the 15 mark, but they already had that blue in mid to get their push going. And now we see Sangura is now on the tower with the E-leader, and you can see that TNT is trying to kind of make a sneaky play here, unfortunately getting taken out by the crab there. Safra doing an excellent job of getting up on that spinner and placing the crab at the right time. Definitely super helpful, I think, for Frostbite here as they make their way to the last checkpoint with only 31 points on the board, but in just a few more to go if they want to catch up to xpresso. But unfortunately, I think that is where Frostbite's push is going to stop.
Yes, this E-leader is going to retreat to safety here. A good call, trying to hold as much space as it can to prevent the enemy team from just completely bombarding their base.
Yeah, and you can see now, I think Irito's back on the tower. We have quite the backline fight happening on the tower here. First you see Irito, then you see Sangura, and I'd expect now if Frostbite is going to be able to turn over this tower again and try to get pushed for some more points, we'll see that the E-leader will probably try to get back on the tower as well. Unfortunately, Irito going down to the leader, and the tower now moving back to mid with about a minute and a half left.
Yes, both teams now here, it looks like there's a one down on the side of xpresso. Sangura here going to be looking to try to make these picks that they need to move their team forward. But both respawn on each side. We're going to be a little bit of a neutral game here. We do have Frostbite on the tower, notably, but we see members like Hermit back there that can be causing chaos behind them and on the tower right now. This Brush coming up, throwing bombs, kind of pestering them behind, and is actually able to get the pick. 2 down now on the side of Frostbite. A great stop and great play from Hermit there.
Yeah, and one thing you have to note too is that it's really quite impressive to me when a user that is has Killer Whale on board, and especially like with a Brush that has so much mobility and can move quickly, when you use the Killer Whale from behind the team. It's unexpected, and it's really difficult to combat because you're not sure, sometimes you're not sure where that Killer Whale is actually spawning from or coming from.
Absolutely, and of course, if you turn around and you start to try to go after the Killer Whale user, that puts your back towards the team that's already in front of you firing, and you've got to make a choice there, and it can often end up with you being pincered.
Yeah, and we see now we got 11 seconds left. Frostbite's got to get something cooking here if they want to get some more points on the board. Unfortunately for them, xpresso's doing an excellent job of maintaining mid control. We see Safra's trying to kind of make a move there, but unfortunately not able to get the push and a pick that they were looking for. So that first game, that second game now goes to Frostbite. Or sorry, xpresso's.
Yes, they're going to bring this set to a tied 1-1 going into Game 3. Both sides showing their, I think, very great control of the map and great control of the pace that their teams were setting. You never really saw either team overextend or push up too fast. Both of them know the place that they have to play this game, and they're responding very well to each other's pushes.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. You could definitely see that both teams were really coming out swinging in that second round. Both of them making it to the third checkpoint and just kind of it always comes down to that third checkpoint, right? And especially when you have all your specials online and you're ready to go, and just trying to prevent that push as quickly as you can. And what we saw with xpresso is they were able to prevent Frostbite on that last push that they tried to make with that double Killer Whale that I mentioned earlier. They were able to place the double Killer Whale aiming towards their spawn and towards kind of in front of their spawn, which definitely I feel displaced the members of Frostbite greatly, and unfortunately not allowing them to get that final push that they needed.
Absolutely. And it's all going to come down to a Game 3 here for who is going to take this set. Of course, that's going to be very meaningful for both of these teams here, as they're going to be wanting to make sure that they give it their all this last game. And of course, with it being Rainmaker, a game mode known for being pretty infamously fast, I think we're going to see both teams opening a little bit more cautiously, maybe playing a bit of a slower game, because going all down is the worst possible situation here in this Game 3.
Yeah, and getting a wipe right at the beginning can be super major for getting that first checkpoint, and especially if both teams have those checkpoints broken. It comes down to a Splatoon 2 Rainmaker match and who can just break and get to the last checkpoint first. So we'll see what's going to happen here down on Hagglefish Market. And we have the same comp coming out from xpresso. And we also have a similar comp coming out from Frostbite, but we have a splatter scope instead of an E-liter.
We do. We see double object shredder coming out on both sides, both from the back line and from one of the splashes, as both teams are gonna, I was gonna say, well, have maybe a bit of an equal chance of popping, but xpresso really goes full charge and gets the pop pretty uncontested.
Yeah, and I have to know, Toma, what are your thoughts on this? Like, it seems like, especially when you have the quick pop, you want to be able to pick the Rainmaker up as soon as you can, but it seems like in a lot of these higher division games, you go for the quick pop and then you kind of just fight for mid or you fight for the picks before you can actually make a move.
I think so too. I think that you really want to make sure you get the paint down on the field, but instead of rushing towards the Rainmaker to pick it up, you want to be able to use that map control as much as you can to get those picks that you need to follow up, because if you try to pick up that Rainmaker too fast, you're going to get punished for it, especially in this level of play.
Yeah, and we see now 2 members on xpresso going down, but Frostbite was kind of hesitant there if they wanted to pick up. But another member on xpresso going down, and now we're making our way for the first checkpoint. Reborn with the Rainmaker, looking to see if they can make a plausible path, and they do. They get it right before just getting picked off by Sugura. Now with 62 points on the board from Frostbite.
They do, and xpresso gets the pop here. Very important, I think, on Hagglefish Market, of course. If you are able to get the pop on the Rainmaker, you're able to hop it immediately from that podium up onto their plat and score a lot of points very fast. So xpresso does a great job there defending that pop.
Yeah, and xpresso now also making their way to the first checkpoint, but just 1 point behind Frostbite at this moment. But we have a Crab on Frostbite, and we also see Fab with the Wiper also playing defense and trying to double up with Reborn there on the defense, with Booyah coming out and displacing them. Now they get a few more points with 44 on xpresso. xpresso in the lead with 3 minutes left.
They are, and we see the splashback here, and they're causing quite a mess in the opponent's base, but they go down to the Wiper, kind of distracting them for a little bit, kind of stalling that Rainmaker pop and buying their team some time to get back into mid and get some more control of the map.
Yeah, and you can see here, Frostbite's doing an excellent job of making sure that their base is painted, and especially with xpresso having that lead, you really want to make sure that you can't give up any more points when that happens. So I think the reset on their part was a good idea and a good call, and it's good now too because Sungura is able to push up with that splatter scope more and apply a little bit more pressure into mid, and we see that there's a crab fight happening. Unfortunately, Reborn's going to be taken out of the fight a little bit earlier than Pincher will be, but now that the map is mostly green on this middle side, you still have another crab coming out from Safra and applying the pressure up onto that gazebo area, making sure that there's nobody up there that can either throw bombs or use that ink vac.
We do, and now it's 2 down on the side of Frostbite, 3 down on the side of Frostbite. This is going to be looking for xpresso's turn to make their move and extend their lead even further. We see Pincher here doing a great job fighting Bab, but goes down, and now Bab is free to kind of come back and get this more picks. There's a jump here that they're going to get, and they are able to really get a lot down on xpresso. xpresso here really needs to play safely, make sure that they're not dropping without specials or a game plan so that they can get Frostbite out of their base safely.
Yeah, and Bab is applying excellent pressure, getting another pick. That was a 4-kill streak that Bab had going on there before getting taken down by the Crab. Yeah, Frostbite definitely needs to play it a little bit carefully here, and especially with only a minute and a half left and getting that soft wipe just a little bit earlier. But now we see Reborn's got the Rainmaker again. Looking at this left side here, but there's 2 folks over on the left side kind of watching out for them. Reborn able to get a few more points. There's still anybody's game. It's still very close. If Frostbite can get this Rainmaker and get a few more points, then the game will be really close.
Very close and great defense there. As I was speaking earlier about using that pedestal to hop across and gain a lot of points, getting the kill there was vital for their defense to maintain their lead.
Yeah, and it's good that they were able to push the Rainmaker too out of their base. Even if they got taken down, it was kind of more of not really a panic move, but a better move, I would say, than letting it reset to just kind of get it out of the base and get it further away. But now we see that there's 3 members down on the side of Frostbite, and unfortunately a delayed wipe happening on Frostbite with xpresso able to pick up the Rainmaker and extend their lead even further, getting it really close. Irito with that wonderful squid roll and almost getting it to the checkpoint with 1 point left to go.
Wow, that was a crazy play. We're seeing that those squid rolls really can make some clutch moves, especially up onto the podium, as you can get that little extra armor that you need just to get through a few more bullets and almost dunk, but just being taken down very shortly. Of course, now, with only one count on the board remaining for xpresso, Frostbite is gonna have to make the run all the way to the opponent base and dunk it down, but with 2 down on the side of xpresso and being pushed by this killer whale, it looks like they're gonna have a hard time making that happen. They're now getting the don't retreat. That timer is ticking down on the Rainmaker, and they only have 30 more counts to push this.
Yeah, and you can tell Reborn's getting chased now by that machine player and getting cornered, unfortunately getting taken down right in that corner. And the machine did an excellent job of being able to kind of sneak around through mid. And I think those killer whales definitely helped. The double killer whale is just so displacing, and it's really difficult to try to find your footing, and especially when there's 2 of them going off. And I think that the machine was able to really maximize that and able to break through and kind of take that Rainmaker down. So that first set is going to go to xpresso.
Yes, a great game from both sides. I think we saw a lot of interesting picks. I really liked the use of the stringer there. Maybe a little bit biased as a stringer main myself, but it provides so much chip damage, so much versatility to its team, making objective move, especially in Rainmaker. I think there was an excellent play there. Something that you don't always see at this level of play, as I think a lot of teams just typically choose to opt for leader over stringer due to its increased range and easier time one-shotting, since stringer is a little bit finicky on making sure that you hit that one shot.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is, like, especially because that leader has so much range and can apply that pressure from so far away, I think that xpresso just had more of the intimidation factor. They had a lot more of that aggression, and especially you could tell with them lining up those double killer whales, and you had Hermit on the ink brush just kind of being everywhere all at once, and you had Tyuster on that last play there breaking through with the machine and kind of just chasing down the Rainmaker and getting them cornered where they needed it to be. And sometimes that can be really hard to combat, and especially when you have a backline that really needs the range in order to perform well. And I feel like xpresso didn't really give Frostbite the space to do that. It made it really hard.
Yes, they definitely did. Both teams really just kind of giving it their all there. I think that this was a great matchup. You see, it's not one of those games where you're just going to see an instant KO. Both teams are very able to respond to each push. Both teams know the pace of the game, know what they're doing, and show that this is the reason why they're here, why they're competing in SAC at such a high level. And I think this is just a great show on both sides.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. I'm interested to see... I'm really interested to see more from Frostbite, though, as well, and especially because with Safra being on their team previously, Safra played on a team called Up the Ante, and they were a Dynamo player on Up the Ante, and we saw just in this game, Safra was playing with the Splash, so definitely a different weapon, a drastically different weapon kit that we saw coming out there, and so I'm interested to see more of how they kind of change that dynamic on their team, because that's a difficult switch to make, going from a slower, heavier weapon to something that's a lot more fast-paced.
Agreed, and especially Dynamo, I think, is a very interesting pick right now. It's really struggled in this game, I feel, because we have leader that can really just outrange, kind of shoot it down, and it's very slow animation time. But of course, in the most recent patch, Dynamo getting the buff that helps it feel a lot more consistent and able to use. So I think that it'd really be able to lend itself well to Frostbite, especially if they run into teams that play maybe a little bit more aggro and don't have as much range as xpresso had.
Yeah, definitely. And what's something that can be so difficult too, and especially looking back at that tower control game, it's really difficult to find your footing and placing, especially if you want to support your E-leader player. It's difficult to do that when you have such an aggressive team on the other side. So it's almost like if you don't match their aggression, or if you're unable to match the aggression, then it can be really difficult. And it almost can sometimes feel like you're a player down because your backline can't find the proper setup and they can't support you like they need to. So it can be really difficult, I think, especially if that aggression just isn't matched.
Yes, I totally agree. And, these backlines, setting up is a huge deal for them. They need to be in a position where they're able to play safely and provide pressure onto the enemy teams. I think that without being able to get set up, it can really hurt a team. And being able to move those backlines can really create an advantageous situation that these teams can take really good advantage of.
Yes, for sure. And looking over at the xpresso roster as well, I noticed that I made a mistake on that, and TNT was actually the machine player, not Tyuser. I'm so used to seeing Tyuser on that roster that my brain immediately just clicked to that. So my bad, TNT. You did excellent and played excellent in that game, and especially in that Rainmaker game, preventing that push. Hats off to you, my friend.
Yes, TNT did an absolutely fantastic game. And we'll be gearing up here pretty shortly for our second round of SAC today.
And round 2, what we're looking at Vivid versus Ouroboros.
Yes, let's see.
Vivid coming in. Ooh.
Go ahead. Vivid got some interesting choices of weapons. We see Tinta, their backline, having both Explosher and Leader. I think Explosher a really great pick on zones, and I've seen lots of players play it recently on clams as well, providing really good zoning, chip damage, and kind of denying space. We of course see the typical splash coming out of Rissa. That will be an absolutely fantastic option coming out for Vivid there. Eclipse providing some really interesting flex options from Wiper, CDS, Slosher that can really fill gaps of that team well. And Kara we'll see Gal, Shot, Splash. I think just another really great flex option, providing the team with an aggressive shooter that they can use to just kind of get into the faces of the enemies. What do you see on the side of Ouroboros?
I can tell you in just 1 second. I don't think I have information on Oro.
I think so too. We may have a bit of a situation where maybe they're a little bit newer to SAC, but I think that's cool. We'll still see them coming out very soon.
Yeah, but something to note though too is that Vivid is also a very newly formed team, formed back in November. And you have a lot of advanced players too playing on the side of Vivid. So it's always fun to see when you, especially Rissa being like a very higher level mid player and playing on a very advanced team before. And it's fun to see like advanced level players kind of come into a new team and almost like reshaping their into a new team and absorbing into a new team, because sometimes like the dynamic can change, or maybe the weapon composition can change, and your playstyle can be a little bit different as well. So it'll be interesting to watch.
Absolutely can, and I think they showed their display of force in the Qualifier 1 of this season of SAC. As out of their 4 matches, they were able to take 3 of those sets. I think that they're definitely going to be a team to look out for here tonight or today.
Yeah. So used to calming at night. It's interesting to be calming during the day. Yeah, I'm interested to see too, and especially one thing that I'm really looking forward to is seeing more of that Splash and T-Tech gameplay coming from Rissa, especially being a junior player in Splatoon 2 and being a heavy junior player in Splatoon 2, and kind of changing up that range and those specials around that. And I'm also interested to see the Explosher coming out from Tenta. Explosher E-Leader are drastically different, and so I'm really curious to see how that kind of plays into this composition for Vivid.
Personally, I am very excited to see it at a higher level. I myself play both Explosher and Leader for my team, and I know, as you said, they play very, very differently. As E-Leader, I'm looking for picks. I'm looking where is an advantageous place to apply that pressure and to be able to you know, find the thing, move their backline. Essentially, the backline versus backline fights with that leader are very important. As where with Xplosher, I feel like it's more about movement. As Xplosher, I'm typically trying to zone out enemies. I'm trying to create space for my team as opposed to necessarily getting the picks. More of a supportive style of backline. That I think could be very interesting, especially on something like Clam Blitz in Splat Zones that we're going to see in our first 2 matches.
Yeah, definitely. And what's important, I really agree with you. And what's super important, I think, as a Xplosher player is definitely allowing yourself to be more mobile. And especially like if you can go for the picks, then you absolutely should do so if the opportunity makes sense. But you're definitely there for more zoning purposes, and you're there to not only provide turf, but you also want to be able to provide chip damage where necessary. And I think I'd be interested to see where Xplosher would be the proper choice on these map modes that we have out here, because I definitely think if in a Clam Blitz Eel Tail match, E-Leader is definitely the more proper choice in my opinion.
I think so too, but I definitely think we may see that Explo come out on Splat Zone Flounder Heights. I know myself and as well as a lot of other leader players sometimes struggle where to find a safe place to post up there, and the mobility of the Xplosher may help there, but that is game 2, and we're going to be heading into game 1 right now on Eel Tail Clam Blitz.
Yeah, and right off the gate, we can see there's a lot of last-ditch effort coming out, and we see that the Xplosher is here! The Xplosher is here on Eel Tail. Oh my goodness, I'm so interested to see how this is going to work out for Vivid's favor.
I think it's a very interesting matchup, and I think it'll actually be okay, seeing that we don't really see a proper backline coming out on the side of Ouroboros. Instead, opting for a more aggressive comp with the C Junior Machine Splash Gal combo. We see this Gal already kind of in the face of Vivid, pushing up, a forced to retreat. We're going to see definitely a different kind of playstyle there that I think the Xplosher will be able to deal with a little bit better as they're able to deny space to these shooters.
Yeah, and you can see that Scotty was applying a lot of pressure on that left side, but the Xplosher was actually able to push them out. Unfortunately, getting taken out by Kira on the Tanatech with their triple ink strike coming out, and this machine now taking them out. Just kind of a bloodbath happening, almost really close to this basket here. Commentators curse, as soon as you say something, somebody else goes down or something else happens. But we see that Ouroboros is doing a great job with that crab, kind of being posted up on the left side, and a lot of ink, yellow ink in front of their basket, kind of applying pressure where they need to and not allowing any members from Vivid able to push in. And Clam Economy isn't quite there on either side, but now we see that Ouroboros we're getting a this way from Ouroboros and trying to get some more clams going up on that left side, but unfortunately getting taken down by the Xplosher.
Again, we're seeing this Explo just apply so much pressure, and that rain plus the slosh combo is just crazy as it's able to just chip away at your opponents, and they're able to get that power clam in, and we do see some follow-up here. Very important for them to get a few extra clams in there so that it doesn't just take a power clam and one more to pass their score, and they're not going to back off here. You see that they have members that go back, search for more clams, and you have members up forward like this Explo keeping up the pressure, getting a wipe out on Ouroboros, but not having the clams to keep the basket open here. That was a great push on the side of Vivid, as now they have, again, 2 power clams and already are kind of geared up to be looking at making another push here again. Yeah,
and that Xplosher being able to have that space to push forward that far was so good, and especially because they were able to get not 1 but 2, but a triple kill really close to that basket. And one thing you have to, and we see Vivid getting wiped out there pretty quickly after that second push, unfortunately. But 50 points is still good for like a double push, but the clam economy now is on the side of Ouroboros with 20 clams in their pocket, and we have 1 power clam on the field, but Vivid able to respawn real quick and get that ink down on the field as quick as they can, with the Xplosher being in the right place to apply pressure and to not allow a lot of movement going on in mid.
Yes, totally agreed here, and we see the 2 power clams now out on the side of Ouroboros. Is they're going to be wanting to make a push here. There's 1 down on the side of Vivid. They need to be able to push and take this man advantage. 2 down on the side of Vivid. Now they're going to open dunk both of those clams, and if they have the follow-up here, this could be a huge lead.
Yeah, and you could see there you had the killer whale, like we were saying in the last set, the killer whale coming out and going in the opposite direction of the spawn. And unfortunately, Vivid losing the lead here to Ouroboros with only 2 clams, but Vivid is going to be quick on the follow-up. You see that Risa already has 7 clams at the ready. That Pity Clam is now on the field, and we have 10 clams in possession for Vivid, and it looks like they are ready for a follow-up when applicable.
Yes, they sure are. They did a great job of defending there. Ouroboros making a great push, but not quite able to get the clams back in time. And now with Vivid in their base, getting this Reef Slider in to force, the members of Ouroboros out. That was a great time stalling these members. If Vivid are going to be trying to take more space here, you see bombs kind of being thrown around. This Explo, again, applying pressures. 2 are down on the side of Vivid, 1 down on the side of Ouroboros. Both are just kind of trading lives and really just having a bloodbath out here in the mid.
Yeah, and you can see too that Dizzy is kind of being a little bit less aggressive, but Ouroboros definitely needs to be careful here because 2-point lead with the penalty that they have is not a lot of clams that they need in order to lose that lead that they have. But we see now that Risa coming in and breaking that and taking the lead with the follow-up from the Xplosher, getting a few clams in there, now down to the 30 mark. Risa did a great job retreating as quick as they could. But we see now that Ouroboros already has a power clam going into their basket. They said, hey, you know what? I saw what you did. I can do that too. And now we only have a 3-point penalty with 48 points, and we're just ticking that down right now with only 2 more clams to take the lead here. We have a power clam going in. Ouroboros taking the lead with 2 seconds to go.
And yes, and then we see, of course, one member sitting there in the ink, waiting with that last clam until overtime starts to throw it in the basket and end it in overtime immediately. A great play by Ouroboros there. Both teams really showing that they have the aggression that they need to push into each other's zones. And both teams, I really feel like this is such a high-scoring match, as both were just able to push in, break basket, the other team would respond, break their basket, so on and so forth, just in this continuous cycle that was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's what it comes down to. And I think normally I feel in some clams games, with the spawn time of clams and where they spawn can sometimes really sway the match in your favor. And I feel like we had that kind of luck on both sides because Vivid was able to get a pop very quickly, and then Ouroboros was able to respawn to that pop just as quick within only a few seconds, and they were able to pick up clams and have a power clam at the ready right when their basket closed. So sometimes those clam spawns can benefit both teams, and then you get instances like this where you're just kind of tit for tatting the whole match.
Yes, it sure did seem like that. And speaking of a kind of tit-for-tat map, we now have Flounder Heights zones coming up, which is a very infamously tit-for-tat map, as both of these zones are kind of hard to manage control of. Both of them so small, very easy to ink over and neutralize. This is definitely going to be another game that I feel like has a lot of back and forth potential, as both teams are going to be pretty aggressive up there, trying to constantly claim zone. And the lockout on Flounder is pretty hard, as you have to push pretty far up into the opponent's base to lock them out with how many flank routes that they have to be able to go back out and try to retake that zone.
Yeah, and especially, I'm curious to see if we'll have our Explo come back here, because I think the Explo has a lot of opportunity here. For maintaining these zones, and especially for being able what we saw with the Expo player in that last game, Vivid was able to make a lot of space for their Xplosher to push up and to be kind of close and look for picks and get picks where they needed to, kind of like on the front line. And so I'm interested to see if that similar thing is going to happen here, and especially because with this double zone map, there's so much space for the Xplosher to be able to get the ink that they need. But we see already double splash coming out on the side of Ouroboros, and we do see Xplosher with a try bucket also on the side of Vivid.
Yes, we do, and I think this Xplosher is going to do the same thing we saw last match with all this excellent zoning. I think it's definitely the right choice for Vivid here. they really showed that X-Splasher knows how to do its job, knows how to do it well. And we're already going to kind of see that, you know, you have the double bucket comp coming up here, being very aggressive, able to take that initial cap of zone. But as I said, with how small these zones are, I think this is going to be a very tit for tat matches. Now Ouroboros is sitting here was ready to take charge. And again, now the zone's flipping blue in Vivid's favor. Like I said before, this is a very tit and tat match, already neutralized again, barely counting on to their timer before being stopped. Very back and forth that we're already seeing here.
Yeah, and you see 3 members of Ouroboros going down, with the Crab being the solo member that is now up. Eclipse trying to go for a pick or a flank there on the Crab, but unfortunately getting taken out by another member of Ouroboros. And you gotta hand it to Kira and Eclipse here. Already, right at the off the bat, I saw them kind of moving together and trying to flank from this left side, while Gohan was able to kind of paint the zone and take the zone back into Vivid's favor. But I think Ouroboros is definitely still in this game. There's still so much time left to be had, and especially with this aggressive comp that they got going for them, they just got to be able to find the picks when they need to.
They can, and speaking of a pick, that's what they needed right there on Rissa to be able to take this zone. And they get a pick on Eclipse too here now. Vivid down 2, and they're gonna down 3 now. Kind of a bit of staggering here on Vivid's side by Ouroboros. Exactly what they've needed and want to see here. Now they've just got to be careful. Watch all these flank routes that Vivid has to re-enter and be able to hold this zone. But with how small it is, Vivid is going to do a great job here contesting them.
Yeah, and especially that Ink Strike coming out at the right time. I think it looked like NM was ready to throw Ink Strike on their side, but Kira was able to respond with their Ink Strike just quick enough in order to kind of displace them, and they were able to take the zone back into Vivid's favor very, very quickly. But you see now Scotty's got a Booyah Bomb kind of throwing it past the towers there. I don't think that was their intended spot for it, unfortunately, with all members of Vivid being pushed up, so not quite finding the pick I think that they were hoping to look for. But now Vivid is able to push up into the spawn of Ouroboros, and I think Ouroboros is kind of having a hard time pushing out.
Yep, and having to be careful. A great crowd there, forcing back Vivid, getting a pick and forcing Gohan to go back to zone. Effectively now kicking them out of their house, as they now have these flank routes open once again to be able to try to retake this zone. Gohan doing a great job here, kind of hiding in under, poking at zone and trying to keep control. But with this Booyah Bomb and all these specials popping out on the side of Ouroboros, they are going to be able to retake.
Yeah, and you could see here too, Ouroboros I think is doing a really good job of moving together. They were able to take that second zone on the left side, and then as soon as that Booyah Bomb came out to kind of displace the members of Vivid coming up onto those ramps, they were able to be pushed back, and then they also were able to take zone for themselves. And a great pick too by Scotty there. Didn't even get to see what happened. Didn't even get to see how they killed them or what they did, but that was a good pick, a good little secret pick, if you will, by Scotty.
Yes, it is. With 2 down now on the side of Ouroboros, Vivid looking to make their room. Great inkjet from Eclipse as he's going to be kind of sharking this wall, looking for picks again, and forcing their way back into their base. Vivid, I think we're seeing, taking a much more aggressive approach whenever they get to this zone, really taking advantage of this upper ground that they have and using the ramp and their height advantage to be able to kind of control the map in favor of them and lock Ouroboros out.
Yeah, and Vivid's doing an excellent job too of trying to navigate this these 2 crabs and the tri-strike comp that they have going on. And I think that Vivid is actually playing a lot more aggressively here, even though they have the X-Splasher, but the X-Splasher is applying just as much aggression as the front lines are. And we can see that here now with Ouroboros having 3 members down, and we have 9 seconds left on the side of Vivid.
Yes, and jumps coming in, but that's going to be a wipeout on the side of Ouroboros, and Vivid taking this game, bringing the set to 1-1. Excellent plays there by both sides. I think Vivid really just having that extra aggression that they needed to be able to have, pushing up into the zone, installing those pushes back in from Ouroboros long enough to eat through their penalty timer and get more points on the board.
Yeah, and I was really entertained there, kind of near the beginning, because you kind of had a machine versus Explo fight happening on the zone for Vivid. And I found that really entertaining because it turned into the Explosher chasing away the machine, where I feel in a lot of instances it's usually the other way around, especially because it's so much harder at close range to find those picks with an Explosher. So that was really fun to see. It's really fun to see Go On play this weapon and play it very well and in such an aggressive format as well, which is just something that's so unusual.
Yes, I definitely agree. As the person who uses Explo myself, I love to see it from Go On, really showing their mastery of the weapon and what it can bring to the table from Vivid. And I think it's a great pick here because it's not something that every team expects to see, especially with Leader running around nowadays, that not every team may know how to respond with that pressure from the Explo that isn't going to necessarily always going to be the direct kill, but is going to paint your feet and leave you vulnerable to follow-ups from the allies.
Yeah, and especially too with this meta that we have, and you had Ouroboros definitely on a more meta composition. You had the machine, you had the Tri-Ink Strike with the T-Tech, and then you had the double crab splash comp going on. But I think Vivid did an excellent job of navigating that meta team that they were against. They did an excellent job of navigating around those crabs, and were able to, I think, time their side of Tri-Ink Strike. To combat their Tri-Ink Strike, or the side of Ouroboros' Tri-Ink Strike very well. So and sometimes that can be really difficult, and that's what's sometimes really fun to watch about these mid-level teams is how do you navigate the meta? How do you navigate it? What do you use to navigate it, and how do you play against it so that that you can kind of dismantle it?
Yep, and we saw them work with it very well, but now coming into this final map on tower control, we're going to finally see Go On switch off of that Explo and opt for a more conventional Splat Charger here. We see the return of the Wiper coming out, and still the same kind of similar comp coming out on the side of Ouroboros that they know well, but we're going to see if Ouroboros knows how to respond now with the change in comp from Vivid.
Yeah, and you can see that Eclipse is now opting for the Wiper, so definitely still on the aggressive route, but a lot more tracking happening, and you still have Risa on the ends up with Tacticooler, perfect support and perfect painting for the teammates. 3 members down now on the side of Ouroboros with the wipeout happening there by Eclipse with the Wiper, and now we are making our way onto checkpoint 1 for Vivid.
Yes, we are, and this Wiper getting kind of up in their base under these ledges, a great places for it to be right now, and the Ink Vac coming out as well to help support it, help it fight more safely. This is exactly what you want to see from Vivid, as they're able to control this space in front of the tower and stop the enemy team from, firing at the objective that's moving so that they can continue to tick forward and get these points, as it looks like they're gearing up to pass checkpoint 2, and they are able to get through it and get a second wipeout on Ouroboros.
Kira was in the right place at the right time there. You saw that the bubble came out on the side of Ouroboros, but Kira was able to pop through there and get not 1 but 2 picks and kind of displace the folks that were under there with a third wipeout now on the side of Ouroboros by Vivid. Go On being completely pushed up with that charger, and that the Vivid taking the set on this one with that tower game. Man, that tower was just not stopping. Vivid was on there, and that tower was just on its way the whole time.
Yes, that was wild. I think that you saw there, what made that push come together was the absolutely beastly special coordination coming out from the side of Vivid, constantly popping those vacs, helping their Wiper fight, the Wiper bringing out the stamp, and so many specials just being popped, clearing space in front of the tower, so that really Ouroboros was never able to even reach it because they were just too busy dealing with the frontliners that were constantly in their face.
Yeah, and it felt like, too, in that first Clams game that we saw, it felt like Vivid was kind of finding their footing there. And there was a couple moments where you could see the extreme synergy happening between the players, especially because, like, you had that Explo able to push up because there was enough ink, and then they were able to fall back and not only get 3 kills, but then also get some energy from the Tacticooler that was happening from Risa. And it seemed like once Vivid really found their footing from that first game, they really came out fighting and came out swinging, and really gave Ouroboros a run for their money. And it definitely, again, as I said before, just trying to navigate a meta composition and something that is so widely seen nowadays in the meta, and I think Vivid was able to execute that perfectly.
Absolutely, such a great play there. A very exciting game 3, and congratulations to Vivid for pulling that together. We hope that you'll be sticking around with us. We're gonna go to a quick break before we start our Swiss round 3, and we'll see you back very soon.
Hey everybody, welcome on back. I hope you were able to get a nice bathroom break in, perhaps a nice beverage and a snack. We're coming back here to SAC Tournament 6 on Season 2. Tournament 2. Season 6, Tournament 2, Round 2, Season 2. I'm back here with Toma. How you doing, Toma?
Doing great. Very excited for this matchup that we're about to see. It's going to be an excellent match between the Flying Dutchman and Silly Kitties. Two very, very great teams here that have really shown that they're able to play at this level, do really well. They both performed incredibly well in the last qualifier. And I think that we're going to see great matches out of them here today as well, as we're going to be getting ready to go into our first match here at Rainmaker Scorch Gorge. Looking at both teams and kind of what weapons they play, what do you expect to see out of this?
Well, especially for Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, I expect to see a lot more. I do definitely expect to see some sort of backline here, just because there's so much opportunity and spots to be able to post up and to get in a comfortable position, and especially if you're being well supported by your front line. So I'm curious to see what kind of backline that is going to come out. Especially for the side of the Flying Dutchman, because you definitely have some other interesting weapons that get to put into their composition mix. For example, you have Wug that likes to play the arrow spray, which is so interesting to me, and you also have the inclusion of the Pro every now and then as well.
Yes, you do, and we're going to see the Splat Charger come out for them, and we don't really see as much of a conventional backline coming out on the side of Silly Kitties, with the Stamper opting as their longest range option and running actually double Splatana, which will be very interesting to watch, dealing a lot of object damage that they're able to get up there, but Flying Dutchman very quickly, aggressively getting this first pop.
Yeah, and you could see that Silly Kitties, both wipers were definitely looking for picks there in middle, but Flying Dutchman not really giving it to them. And now we see Silly Kitties getting wiped, and Flying Dutchman getting the first wipe out of the game, with the Rainmaker now being popped and being picked up. Small lead by Silly Kitties, but we can see that now that Flying Dutchman is well on their way to that first checkpoint. But Silly Kitties really quick on the respawn. Unfortunately, 2 members going down right after respawning, and you see that the Stamper and the Bucket were trying to kind of work together there. Zengoose getting a nice pick, but unfortunately being pushed up a little too far, and Flying Dutchman now getting another pick.
Yes, we saw a great push there. Great use of special coordination of those strikes coming out to protect the path for the Rainmaker, as Wug was able to move it forward, and Moo being able to follow up on the enemy teams. And Wug is just running this Rainmaker right now all the way to 19. The excellent lead on the side of Flying Dutchman, as Wug just kind of was able to hold forward uncontested until they all converged.
Yeah, and you could tell Silly Kitties was having a bit of a moment there too. The 2 players that were kind of in front of that Rainmaker, especially because there was pressure coming from behind the Rainmaker, and sometimes it can be a difficult decision. I need to go for the Rainmaker, but there's also a lot of pressure coming up into our base from the other side, so it almost is like trying to prioritize where's the better place to be, and if there's another player coming off a spawn.
Yes, and now Silly Kitty is going to be needing here to come up with a response of their own, kind of poking around on this elbow here, this ramp, falls off. They pop a stamp, are able to get it thrown in, but the Flying Dutchman, you can see just throwing bombs here, and you actually see the flank coming out from the T-Tech there, able to take down the Rainmaker. Very good play there. Now their Charger set up in a great position to defend, able to watch this, gets a bomb kill, and is just staying in the safety of this bubble, keeping pressure out onto the field in mid.
Yeah, and it's nice too. I think Wug was doing an excellent job of providing that defense for Toba, because you could tell that Silly Kitties, when they made their push and got the Rainmaker up to that 89 mark, that they were able to put that bubble into place for Toba in order to keep them defended, so that they were able to kind of get comfortable there up on that platform. Unfortunately, getting taken down by the Stamper, Zengoose getting that. My mind is blanking, getting the Spider-Man special, if you will, and flying up to that platform in order to displace Toba.
Yes, Zengu was able to displace Toma, but Flying Dutchman able to still respond, protecting Toba and being able to still take down the Rainmaker in time. And then after that, they were able to get 3 down, push forward, take control of all this mid area. They do go down before reaching the ramp, but you can see Mu providing excellent pressure there before going down. And still, it's 2 down on the side of Flying Dutchman. They still haven't really lost control yet. Toba getting an excellent snipe here on the defense, and they're really just able to incredibly hold so much space despite being at a man disadvantage there.
Yeah, and we see now Better Try has the Rainmaker in possession, where Hammer is looking for picks, is able to take out Moo with the stamp, and now we are able to see that Silly Kitties will break the first checkpoint, with unfortunately both 3 members going down right after breaking that that checkpoint, and Flying Dutchman in a really good position to play some good defense.
Yes, for sure. And now, you know, Flying Dutchman gonna be looking to get this thing out of their base. With a minute left in the game, they don't want to go on the full defense, leaving this up here because they can come back in, backdoor, somebody can hold forward like Wug was able to do to them earlier, so they're gonna be able to force them out, reset it back to mid. Now Silly Kitties is going to have to turn around and go back to mid if they want to continue their push and give up space to the Flying Dutchman. We see these tri-strikes coming out. The mid is very green right now. We see 1 down on either side. Flying Dutchman looks like they're now finally able to force everybody else out of their base.
Yeah, and Flying Dutchman is in a really good position here for playing defense. So you could see that 3 members were kind of posted up on that left elbow, but you saw that the Spider-Man special is actually called Zipcaster, in case you didn't know. But you saw that the Zangoose was able to zipcast pretty far into spawn. Unfortunately, I don't think looking for the picks, but unfortunately not finding the one that they were looking for. And you have Moose sharking here and flanking the Rainmaker in an excellent position to flank the Rainmaker with only 8 seconds left on the clock. Moo practicing excellent patience there in order to find that flank and to properly move towards that flank and taking down the Rainmaker at the right time. First round is going to Flying Dutchman.
Insane play from Moo there. Moo knew that, like, hey, no one's back here. It's free space to be, and able to sneak up on that Rainmaker at the last moment, giving them enough time just to be able to pop it, but not able to pick it up in time to continue the game into overtime. Excellent play there from the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, Moo really said it's free real estate and came in and just took down the Rainmaker at the right moment with only a few seconds left to go. I really got to hand it to Flying Dutchman here. Something I really liked, which I touched on a little bit earlier, was there was a lot of defense and a lot of response to what Toba was doing. Earlier in the match, we could when Silly Kitties was able to break the first checkpoint, there was a member of Silly Kitties that was on the Tetras that was in the spawn of the Flying Dutchman and kind of rolling around there and looking for the flank. And you saw that Toba was able to keep them in the corner, and 2 members of the Flying Dutchman were able to respond to those snipes and those shot calling to see that that Tetra was there and could cause some problems down the line. So there was a lot of good response time, I think, happening around Toba. So it makes you wonder, like, what's happening in that VC and what's being said in that VC in order for players to respond quickly.
Absolutely, and Toba herself really being able to hit her snipes. I think we saw pretty fast into the opening as Silly Kitties tried to take a very aggressive response that Toba was able to turn around and kind of flick a snipe back into their ramp really fast that was coming up on her, and not even needing the help of her teammates there. They're really knowing that, hey, we've got to keep Toba alive, knowing that their win condition is keeping that charger up, keeping them looking at the opponents and being able to apply that pressure, because, you know, even if a sniper doesn't hit every single shot, that laser can be a huge psychological pressure, knowing that, like, hey, we have to move the laser, or else if I walk forward to it, it might snipe me.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes the psychological pressure is just enough. It's just enough to displace people, and especially if you're a weapon that's a lot less mobile. It's definitely enough for you to be like, hey, I feel like this person's looking at me. They know where I'm at. I don't think I can push forward. Got to be patient and try to find a different way in, which brings me back to Moo. Finding that spot where they were able to shark and wait for the right place and the right time, which I think is so major, especially if you're someone that plays a lot more aggressive in these higher divisions, that you need to know that sharking and that patience and practicing that patience, because sometimes it's really easy to get ahead of yourself and to kind of lose focus and want to, I guess, go after the objective before it's the right moment and before maybe your teammates can get in place to help you. So that was definitely a really well done and well timed by Moo.
Absolutely. And great things on the side of Silly Kitties. I think Zengoose really realizing when he needed to pop his special, being very effective at moving Toba, and may not always getting the kill, but being able to move that backline, even if you don't get the kill on them, can give your team the time that they need to be able to break that checkpoint like they did there. Very well played on the side of Zengoose, knowing very well that, hey, we've got this special on one. It's what we need right now to get the push started.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to be starting here, going into Clam Blitz on Inkblot Art Academy. We're going to see a little bit of a change coming out on the side of Silly Kitties, now bringing out this Slosher instead of bringing back out the double Splatana. And we see the Splat Charger being traded off for the E-Leader here, which I think will be really great for the Flying Dutchman, giving them a little bit extra range. And of course, that Wave Breaker being able to apply a lot of pressure underneath their basket, both for offense or for defense. But we see the very quick 3 down on the side of the Flying Dutchman, but not a clam economy on the side of Silly Kitties to be able to take advantage of that man, or those men down.
Yeah, and you can see Woomy is just wrecking havoc up here on that plat, getting not 1, not 2, but 3 picks rolling around on that plat, one of them being Toba, unfortunately, and one of them also being the junior player. And you can tell that the Flying Dutchmen are kind of just trying to find their footing in this one. I think Silly Kitties, like you said, was able to kind of come out really quickly, but not having the clam advantage, unfortunately. And now the same thing is happening on the side of the Flying Dutchman, not having the clam economy to kind of follow up that soft wipe, and they also do not have the clams to follow up on that soft wipe. It kind of just seems like we're playing team deathmatch right now until we can get those clams in order.
Yes, I think the big thing that needs to happen here, both teams are moving very fast right now, getting picks, pushing forward very fast, but I think what we need to see is that once these teams get a pick or two, they need to be able to hold this zone, or this area in mid, keeping pink down on your map and holding a large area, opening up your map, you'll be able to see the clams glowing on the map, you'll be able to get better information, be able to collect clams a little bit better, you don't have to paint over enemy paint to be able to go collect, and that kind of hold time in the mid is going to be able to give them the clam economy that they'll need to make a push. And now that we see the same thing happening on the side of Silly Kitties, they've got the paint down in mid, and now they've got clams that they can be able to follow this up through, but they do go down on the push.
Yeah, and unfortunately there for Woomy, you could tell Woomy was really going to try to go for an excellent pick there, but unfortunately being just a little too far away, and Toba was able to spot them coming out and took them out before they could really wreak havoc. I think that the Flying Dutchmen really need to look out for Woomy here. Woomy seems to be the flanker on this team, and it's happened a lot in the last game, and it's now happening in this game.
Yep, and we see Woomy coming again now, trying to create an opening with that Reef Slider, but not quite the clams to follow through, as Flying Dutchman is playing an excellent defense here. We have Toba set up just where she needs to be able to be to get those picks in order to stop clams from coming in.
Yeah, and you can see it too. Unfortunately for Flying Dutchman, I think that they definitely have a lot more inking power than Silly Kitties does, but Silly Kitties is doing an excellent job of maintaining mid, and I think it's giving Flying Dutchman some trouble to kind of break out and to find clams, because we have a high clan economy now on the side of Silly Kitties with 15 clams in possession, but we just don't have any balls ready to go. And it seems like Silly Kitties is kind of waiting for the opportunity to form those clams and to get closer in on that plat.
Yes, they definitely are, but you see, again, just an excellent defense coming out here. Flying Dutchman finally able to get a clam together, but they need to be able to take this space to be able to move forward with it, with 1 minute and 41 seconds left in the game, and no team scoring. A score here could be huge.
Yeah, you can tell, especially when it gets down to the wire and you get really close to that overtime, that's when the teams kind of start sweating and you kind of start getting worried about when we're going to make that pop. And we see Allie coming in, making that first pop of the game for Silly Kitties with almost 1 minute left, with 3 down on the side of Flying Dutchman, but unfortunately no clams to follow up that pop, so it might just be a solo pop here for Silly Kitties.
Yep, and Flying Dutchman need to do their best here not to rush too far forward with it. With a minute left in the game, they do still have some time to proceed with a little bit of caution, take space, make sure that they flush out the silly kitties before moving forward, and they do have that free power clam to be able to jump in with to start their push.
Yeah, and one thing, again, I'd like to note is that Silly Kitties is doing an excellent job of maintaining mid-control, and it seems like Flying Dutchmen are feeling a little nervous to kind of break out because there's just not a lot of purple paint on that field, and you have a lot of times you see that you have Best Try coming out with that wiper and applying so much pressure and providing a lot of support for whoever else is trying to go for those picks. But we see now a follow-up by Silly Kitties with another power clam and some change going into that basket. Unfortunately, you see Best trying to apply some pressure there, but unfortunately not having any more clams to follow up and keep that basket open. So 17 seconds left for Flying Dutchman to try to make a move here with their pity clam and to try to get some points in.
Yes, excellent play there from Silly Kitties on that push. I think you saw that they took excellent advantage of their man-up scenario and were able to come kind of from two different sides to collapse their offense down onto the remaining members of Flying Dutchman. But with about 10-15 seconds left here, two flower clams on the side of Flying Dutchman as they're going to try to make it forward, but they go down. There's the wipeout on the side of the Silly Kitties, but Moo is the only one up, going to try to get this second power clam in to end the game, and they are able to take the win. The Moo solo solo throwing those clams into the basket before it closes. An incredible play there.
You can't see me right now, but I'm like rocking back and forth in my chair holding my head. Moo! That was crazy! Them being the only one alive, able to run back at the right moment when the team got wiped out. Their crab special ending at the right moment with those two power clams just sitting at the ready, and you could see that the members of Flying Dutchman were spamming that jump button to get there as quick as they possibly could, but Moo was able to have the space to get not one, but two power clams in and some change. Wowie zowie, what an excellent play. What an interesting play to come down to in overtime.
Oh my gosh, that was an absolutely fantastic ending of the game there for the Flying Dutchman, as Moo is able to bring that game to a close and preventing the game 3 from happening, taking the set 2-0 over Silly Kitties. But with that being said, we'll be getting ready to go into our fourth round of Swiss, but not before handing over the mic to someone new. So thanks again, once again, to SAC and IPL for having us. My name is Toma. You can find me at Crestigatier on Twitter or @Toma_ on Twitch. Where can they find you, Saf?
Hi, you can find me if you want to talk to me or get to know me or, just see my beautiful face. You can find me at Twitter at Safirea. That's 2 P's, 2 A's at Safirea. Or if you want to follow my Twitch account, you absolutely can, but I'm on hiatus right now. Twitch.tv/Safirea. It was wonderful to be here today with SIC and with my dear friend Toma to bring these matches to you and to get to hang out with all of you this morning.
Thanks again, and stay tuned for an exciting Swiss round 4 coming up soon.
Hello and welcome back to Splatoon Advanced Circuit. I'm Weef and I'm here with Broken Pinky, and we are about to go right into Cacahuetes versus Rabid. Pinky, do you have any thoughts on this match right now?
I mean, these are both. I mean, you got to be pretty strong to make it here. Kaka actually made it to bronze bracket last time, so they definitely had a strong showing. But you know that they want to make it just a little bit farther this time. And Rabid, you know, not doing quite as well as I feel like they would like to at this point. But both these teams are definitely really strong. They have to be to make it here. They have some wins under their belt, so this is definitely going to be an interesting set for sure. And we're just going to be starting things off really quickly here on Tower Control Hagglefish. So, before we start, what are some of your thoughts on this stage?
Tower Hagglefish, absolute classic. I know you really like it, but I also really like it. It's a map where like the long range weapons really do well, but they're not too overpowering, which is something that's nice because you know I like it when the long range weapons are overpowered because that's what I play. But not everyone does. But I think this map is a healthy mix of flank routes and additional like ways to approach that they aren't too dominant, but the sightlines are still really good and you know they function. Anything from you?
I mean, I pretty much just agree with you a lot. There's a lot of really good sightlines on that 10th area. Very good for backlines, and of course, very great for crabs. Just being able to patrol so much of the map. But I think tower control really works well in Hagglefish just because those flanks on either side are actually pretty easy to retreat from, which means that there's a lot of risk-reward management when going for that flank, and you can escape from it a lot easier. So I definitely think it's a very interesting map. I think it's a strong map for Slayers, of course. It typically is in tower control, but backlines certainly have a very strong leg up here.
Are we? Is the stream still frozen for us?
Oh, we're actually just right into it. 20 seconds in, my apologies. Rabid already has Kelp on that tower with the heavy splatling. Just right into a little bit, holding onto that wave breaker, and Rabid is the first to get to that first checkpoint, just trying to break through it real quick. We didn't even have a chance to look at the comps here, but Kaka is opting to go with the vanilla Rapid Blaster, which is an interesting weapon pick considering it now has those newly buffed Tri-Strikes that Rabid's already been launching, and Kaka is just going to try and take this tower a little bit further. Snoo does get taken out by the Junior on the Rabid, and now Kaka are two dead, and Rabid is going to try and seize control of the tower, but Kaka's very strong opening push for first checkpoint.
Yeah, they overextended a little bit, and their first push did end up breaking prematurely, but they did get that checkpoint, which is huge. But right now, you know, Rabid's getting on their way to the checkpoint, and they aren't looking too contested here. The crab is out, and the specials are going out, which do mean they will have to retreat. But they also, I believe, just broke that checkpoint, so you know now it's back to basically even with both of these teams having nearly the same amount of points and both checkpoints broken.
Yeah, and Kaka is 3 down. It's just this heavy splatling. The shot and splash are coming back, but Rabid is in a fantastic spot to get his lead back. They do get the lead from Kaka here, and they're pushing it even further. Those Tri-Strikes are just putting on so much pressure, and here's Aaron on this Rabid, does get taken out a little prematurely. You know, Rapid Blaster and Blasters in general are really strong on tower for their ability to contest tower, and we've been seeing Rabid take massive advantage of this, and now they have that classic bubbler on tower. It just got broken, but they pushed it all the way down to 16 on their first push in just the first 2 minutes of this game. But now we do see Snoo going in an insane quad on Snoo, or from Snoo on Rapid, getting Rabid out of their base, and now Kaka, now they got that defense down, now they're going to try and make another offensive push of their own.
Rabid was just so far in Kaka's base, which is really interesting to see. What they did end up getting punished for it, as they're going to lose all of their mid control, and now look at Kaka's side on the top. They all have their stuff already, and this is going to be really good for them if they can just, you know, throw out the wave breakers, throw out the crabs, and, you know, all of those go out pretty much at once. They just have one crab left, but, you know, Rabid's looking really pushed far back, so hopefully, you know, for Kaka, they really want to be able to push this far, break those checkpoints, and make it so where, you know, they can really take advantage of that situation that they just got themselves in.
Yeah, Kaka's trying to push this tower, but these Tri-Strikes from Rabid, you know, having 2 of them from the T-Tech and from the Rabid are just so good at bullying the tower, as well as with that Booyah Bomb on the machine that is currently being held. Now we have Squeeg on this tower, you know, with that Junior just trying to get a little bit of that tower special charge to just build up a brand new bubbler. And I mean, you see how good tower special charge is. They're already about a third of the way there, but Adapt just holding that Booyah Bomb, just trying to keep Kaka as far away from the tower as possible, because Rabid has such a strong advantage at this point. You know, they got it down to 16. Beautiful pick from Adapt on this machine. And Kaka are 2 down once again. This is a great opportunity for Rabid to continue pushing, and they just got completely wiped out, and Rabid is now in danger of knocking this out.
Yeah, no, they were able to recuperate so fast. And there's only 5 seconds left, and it looks like the tower is getting uncontested as the Rabid gets that KO on game 1.
Yeah, Rabid just had a really strong showing on there right away. You know, we didn't even have time to just fully get situated in the match, and Rabid was already, and Kaka was already making a strong push of their own, but Rabid responded to it, and they responded to it very strongly, getting a very good push to 16 and getting a big advantage there in that team fight, only having, or getting 3 of Kaka down and just converting it into a knockout. So incredibly well played by Rabid there.
And now we go from a really solid, very, very non-controversial stage to one that's a bit more... Nobody's really excited to play on this stage, to be honest. It's very limiting in where you can go. There's only, there's that massive choke in mid. There's only one way around it, really, or if you go above it, but... Like the long range weapons once again are really dominant, but we didn't really see too much of that other than the heavy spotting on I believe it was, I forget which team ran the heavy spotting actually, but
I'm pretty sure that was Kaka that ran that heavy.
Yes, but we didn't really see too much of the range. But this is another map where it does work really well. So I we could see it, we could not. Who knows?
Yeah, and I do think it's worth noting that neither team really ran a backline on TC Hagglefish, and while Hagglefish generally favors backlines really heavily, maybe the faster pace of tower control kind of dissuaded these teams away from it. But on a stage like Mincemeat, the sight lines are just so powerful. If you get an E-leader onto that plat and you're just able to patrol so much of the map so easily, it's honestly kind of terrifying. But we did also see some sloshing machine play, and I think this is also a phenomenal machine map, just because it's very effortless to be able to hit people on that plat, and you can really use Booyah Bomb to just stop those choke points really effectively.
Yeah, Adapt was doing really well with the machine, so definitely will see that again. I have very little doubts. What was interesting also was the choice to bring the Rapid Buster out on that last stage. Well, never mind. We're gonna get right into it here. In a
Yeah, we're getting right into game 2 of the set. Rabid is up 1-0 against Kaka. So if they win this game, then they win the set. And we do see Kelp pulling out that E-leader that we just talked about. And we do see the Rabid Pro come out on the side of, I believe that is Kaka. Very interesting stuff. Oh wait, no, I believe that is Rabid with the Rabid Pro. I could be wrong.
Yes, it is Rabid.
Yeah, it is. Okay. And we see Squeak going on that Zap, which is, very interesting, but Zap is picking up a lot of traction right now with that Tacticooler buff, and especially on Rainmaker, it's a very strong option, but right now, it's Kaka with all the control in the world here. We're seeing just Kelp grabbing his Rainmaker, trying to make it to that first checkpoint, but those Tri-Strikes are just bullying them so hard. Kelp is trying to find some sort of footing, and here are those teammates going in front of them, just trying to keep control of that Rainmaker. They get the nice kill on Candy, but they go down, and Kaka is 3 dead. Beautiful defense from Rabid. Aaron with that Rabid Pro hitting all the right shots, and Kaka was not even able to break that first checkpoint.
Yeah, they had a really strong opportunity there, but unfortunately they didn't have quite the control. So when they went in, they did end up going down, and that does mean that Rabid is going to be on the offensive right now. The E-leader though is just kind of holding everyone back here. You can't really go into mid without being strongly pressured. But the E-leader goes down, which is a very strong green light for Rabid to begin their push as they do bring that Rainmaker out, and they are very fastly approaching the checkpoint with the Tacticooler buff there. But the Rainmaker, Aaron on the Rainmaker does get picked off with a bomb there, which is going to stop their push, and especially with 2 down, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to continue too hard here.
We're just seeing Squeak juiced up, just going all the way in with that Zap. They do get picked off, but notably, Rabid did manage to just get the lead, and Kaka is forced to respond here because that checkpoint is deep in their area, and if Rabid's able to pick it up, they can very easily convert it into a checkpoint break, but the Rainmaker does reset. Kelp trying to find some picks with that E-leader. The Tri-Strikes are coming out, shredding this Rainmaker shield, and the Tri-Strike play this set has been absolutely phenomenal. Rabid has always been running 2 of them, and they've been getting a lot of value out of having potentially 6 strikes on the map at a time. Here's Lucas with that crab, but it's just Lucas and Kelp on the Rainmaker alive for Kaka, and Kaka needs to go a long way, and Lucas is trying to chase down Candy on that 10 attack, but it's not going to be enough to protect the Rainmaker. They do get the pick on Candy, though, which is notable, but I don't know, it's just... Rabid just has so much control here. It's just so difficult for Kaka to get something started. There's just so much of this map painted orange, and especially on a map like Mincemeat, it can be really hard to maintain control for a long time.
we see them once again go for that checkpoint, but end up getting canceled. Both of these teams, they've made it to the first checkpoint, but have been really, really struggling to get, their footing anywhere else. The E-leader slowing things down, but, it's just going to be hard for, everyone involved to keep the pace up when you have that E-leader there watching everything. So many specials on the side of Cacahuetes. We see the machine go out with the Booyah, and everyone has their special, so it looks like it's going to be, somebody hopefully is going to come up on top here, and we're going to see some pushing finally.
Yeah, Kaka really wants to they have to this game if they want to stay in this competition. These suspensions can be devastating for their chances. Continue trying to definitely get the Rainmaker goes down to onslaught of Tri Strike from Rabid has. And now it's 2 versus 2. Rabid is now getting a little bit juiced up from that cooler. Lucas took the Rainmaker and took off pretty quickly as well. And he wins the 1v1, or I guess the 2v1. And Kaka is 3 dead. Now Rabid's been trying to make the first checkpoint. Notably,
It's been most of this match, and we finally are seeing this first checkpoint with a minute and 20 seconds left in this game. And now Rabid is able to pop this Rainmaker with Tri-Strikes, has the vacuum to protect the Rainmaker just a little bit, but they only get it to 52 before they're taken out.
Even though they did get the point and did get it all the way to 39, it's still not a very big push. Rabid or Kaka could actually take this back pretty easily here if they play their cards right. So it's not secure for anyone. It could turn, the tides can turn at any given moment. So we'll see how the rest of this map goes, especially as Kaka, is going to be starting to take the upper hand, starting to get mid back, and starting to have their specials available to really form a good push.
Yeah, exactly, but they only have about 40 seconds left to do so, and once that Rainmaker is grabbed, they essentially have a minute on that clock before they can really make something happen. But right now, Kaka has that man advantage. They got 2 dead on the side of Rabid. Kelp is on that Rainmaker, that E-leader not helping on the push, and Rabid knows, and Kaka knows it. They're breaking the first checkpoint. Rabid are still 2 dead, but the T-Tech is holding those Tri-Strikes. This is devastating to keep the Rainmaker just at bay a little bit longer, but the T-Tech gets picked by Mega on the machine. Beautiful play, gets the double as well. It's just the bucket alive for Rabid, but the bucket gets the double! Double kill from Adapt on that bucket, and it gets the wiper with the Rainmaker, and now Kaka is in no position to get it. Beautiful play from Rabid to take the set 2-0.
The absolute, the absolute joy there at the end that Rabid was expressing as they all were squid bagging. That wipe was absolutely huge. Really great play, really great defense from them, as that could have been really scary for Rabid there. Good job.
Rabid just played so well against Kaka, just keeping them at base so effectively, and we saw on their Hagglefish game, they were really able to just capitalize on, Kaka feeling forced to push ahead, and once they got that man advantage, they really pushed up really strongly on their own, and we saw exactly that on Mincemeat. They waited, they bided their time until, Kaka felt a little bit hopeless, and they were able to get a strong push to 39, and they were just able to turtle so effectively and create such a hard defense for Kaka to break through, and that's why they won the set.
Yeah, really, really great show from Rabid there, but we apologize for some of the weirdness during this set. We are having a bit of technical issues on our side, but we are going to be coming back right strong in the next set, and we will see you then.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SAC Season 6, Tournament 2, Round 5. Sorry, that's a lot of numbers to keep straight, but we're getting right into it. This is the last round of Swiss, and we have Sweetshop versus Healthy Diet Food Groups. I am Broken Pinky, joined here by Weef, and these are two very strong teams. I believe they're both 3-1 in this tournament. Weef, do you have any thoughts about this?
We have a very interesting combo of Sweetshop versus Healthy Diet, a sugar team versus a diet team. So we're gonna see which one really wins here. But other than that, I think it's gonna be a very exciting match. I don't know if you already mentioned, but whoever wins this does make it to top cut. So that's definitely interesting. But we're getting right into it now. No time to talk about maps or anything. We're just getting right into it.
Yeah, we're just going right into it, We're already seeing very interesting comps come out. The Splat dualies are actually going to come out from Cutie. Very interesting pick, I believe, because I feel like I have not seen a lot of dualies, even though they got buffed fairly substantially, getting that 10-point cheaper crab. But right away, we're seeing that splash we're seeing Eevee on that splash going very aggressively on the side of, I believe that's healthy diet food groups. And yeah, they're just putting a lot of pressure on the zone. King gets taken out very quickly, but yeah, right now the score is 3-1 actually. It's just the dually squelchers left for Healthy Diet Food Groups and or for Sweetshop, sorry. And Healthy Diet Food Groups are the first to get the zone and push it down pretty far.
Yeah, no, the comps from both teams are really interesting. You don't see the Splat Roller or the VDS very often. That is a very aggressive team there with no backline versus the backline of Healthy Diet Food Groups, the E-Leader, who was getting really far up there and denying basically any entrance from the plat and now any entrance in the mid now that they backed up. But they have their specials ready. They are going to be denying the entrance further, even more as they get down to 30 points left. Even though the zone is contested, that's not a small lead to sneeze at. So right now we're just seeing a Sweetshop come in and really try to take the zone and apply that penalty, and it looks like the zone is really close to getting capped. It's not quite there just yet as two go down on both sides. It's a big zone, and they finally do paint it there, applying a big fat penalty to Healthy Diet Food Groups.
Yeah, Sweetshop finally able to get that zone, and here's that roller that Sweetshop is opting to run. Very unique pick, but it's already, it's getting a lot of value. It just got that pick on the Blop on that Charger, which is very valuable on Inkblot. And this roller with that big bubbler, they do go down, but they set up a big bubbler in a very opportune spot for their teammates, but they get shredded pretty quickly. Eevee is now chasing on that left side, but they do get taken out by Vernon on that 10-attack splatter shot. And Healthy Diet Food Groups are too dead. Sweetshop still has the numbers, and they're still able to hold onto the zone a little bit longer. Vernon just trying to pressure Plat with these splat bombs and trying to build it up to that tri-strike, and Sweetshop is currently in a very good spot to be taking this lead back from Healthy Diet Food Groups.
Yeah, they are set up really well. That roller there we saw for so long, striking under that ledge can be really powerful because, that one-shot range still applies over the ledge. We saw them striking there for just quite a bit. And, now the lead is about to swap. It's on Healthy Diet Food Groups to get back in here now, but the dually squelchers are in the plat. The crab gets shredded. There's only about 10 seconds left on the clock, and we just see the junior try all that they can to paint the zone by themselves, but it's just them, and they aren't quite able to make it before Sweetshop takes a decisive victory, coming back from the brink of extinction there.
Yeah, I mean, their name was pretty fitting. They got zoned, and they quite literally set up shop, and Healthy Diet Food Groups was never really able to move forward into zone together, and Sweetshop was just able to do a very strong hold, with that roller to catch those drops from the platform, and the Charger never really getting the right picks, and that's what let Sweetshop win that game pretty cleanly, even after going down pretty severely in terms of the point lead.
Yeah, we really saw them take it back extremely well there, not even budging as they got out of it. But, now we go to tower control, which is going to be an interesting change of pace where, you can hold just mid, basically, in splat zones, but you have to move up a lot further in tower control. So I don't really know how these teams are gonna fare when they have to change the objective up so much.
Yeah, and I think this is where the E-Leader that Healthy Diet Food Groups was using is really going to get a ton of value, because Eeltail Alley is a very straight line sort of stage, and those stages really tend to lend E-Leader being just so strong. There's so many possible side lanes, so many places to look. I don't know, E-Leader is just incredibly strong on this stage, and on tower control, I feel like it just is so hard to enter the tower, so Sweetshop is really going to need a plan to get around it.
Yeah, it's... Especially with they didn't I can't exactly remember their full comp, but they did I don't believe they had too many displacement specials, and if they're not able to move that E-Leader out of the way, it is gonna spell big trouble. But I know I believe one of their players is, you know, a really strong junior player, and I bet we're like almost for a fact that we are going to see that bubble out, which is going to make their pushes a bit more stable, as they are going to have that insurance of not getting instantly knocked off the tower. But you know, it's really anyone's game here.
Yeah, and I do think it's important to mention that Healthy Diet Food Groups really does have a strong comp. You know, as you mentioned, Ziff is very strong in that V Junior, which has that bubble, which is insane. We already saw Blob getting a lot of value out of that E leader, and they're only going to get even more on this stage. And Cutie is a very strong dually player, and dualies like the aggression that are on tower control, but we're just going to get right into it. Sweetchop is up 1-0, so if they win this game, then they win the set, and we already mentioned that means they move on to top cut, so this is a set that has a lot of meaning for it, but right now we see Kingja on that roller, just trying to patrol the area around the tower. It's still interesting to me that they opt to bring the roller onto tower. I guess the bubble's really valuable, but it's not enough to stop the snipe from Blop, and now Blop is on the tower protected by their own bubble, but the Tri-Strikes are already coming out to clear the tower, and Healthy Diet Food Groups are able to break past that first checkpoint still.
Yeah, that really showing the value of that Tri-Strike there, but not quite enough to get, you know, stop that push. They are starting to push them back, but the E-leaders there still having so much control over mid that, you know, that roller isn't going to be able to really approach them, but the roller does pick off the E-leader, you know, jumping on them and ambushing them just like a roller wants to do. Roller gets 2 picks before ultimately going down, but that looks like it's Healthy Diet Food Groups the end of their push right now, as sweetshop is really pushing to get back mid control and take the bridge and, you know, really get through these checkpoints here.
Yeah, this duelist squad is in such a strong spot on this bridge, and notably, a lot of Healthy Diet Food Groups' team is frontliners other than that E-leader, and duelist squads really have the range and especially the mobility to really space out these shooters. But right now, Sweetchop has not been able to get a strong push going. You know, Healthy Diet Food Groups have just been throwing a ton of bombs in mid, and it's really been hard for Sweetchop to approach them. And now here comes the crab coming out. The bubble is on the tower to make it even harder, but the Tri-Strikes are going to shred that bubble really quickly. Neither team can really get a strong push going here, even after a full minute and a half.
Yeah, this really shows how evenly matched these teams are. You know, it hasn't been like the last match where it was, you know, one team swept and then the other team got back on their footing and then took it to the end. You know, it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We haven't really seen any strong advantages here, but it looks like Healthy Diet Food Groups is getting set up here. They have their bubble, they have their 2 crabs, and their E-leader is going to get set up here, meaning that it's going to be really hard for Sweetchop to take this back at this point, at least, you know, soon enough where they don't get the second checkpoint. But we'll see how they try to defend it. We see the Tri-Stars coming out all over the place, you know, making sure that they have to move back and or they, you know, they get killed. And 2 Dooku down on the side of Healthy Diet Food Groups, which does, you know, probably mark the end of their push, but who knows.
Oh man, Eevee does go down in that 1v2, but Eevee was there getting some nice picks on the, especially on the Duelist Culture, and this Bubbler is back on the tower, but Healthy Diet Food Groups are 2 dead. It's just that E-leader actually in the splash coming from spawn, but still, a push to 29 on Eeltail Alley is very devastating, but already, Sweetchop is wasting no time. They have a lot of control, but one of them gets a little too overzealous and gets picked off. Eevee has been getting so much value out of the Splash-O-Matic this set, even if they're not necessarily a Splash main. They've been just being so solid with it, and now Eevee already has that crab charged up once again, and they're just going to try and find a good place to use it because they just want to extend this push as much as possible. And the other crab on Healthy Diet Food Groups does get popped, and it's just raining bullets, making sure that Sweetshop can't even get close to the tower, and Sweetshop has under 2 minutes to get all the way to 28. It's looking real rough for them right now.
Yeah, especially with Healthy Diet Food Groups, you know, making the move to push again. They could break this checkpoint, they could get further, but most importantly, you know, to break out of this, that means that, you know, they're going to have to, Sweetshop is going to have to push up even further. You know, they have to take the time and, like, really escort the tower to mid instead of just, like, being able to push as far as they can. You know, making that push again means that they are going to be pushed back further than they would if, you know, if Healthy Diet Food Groups was just content to staying in mid here. And their defense is looking incredibly strong. That crab pops out at just the right time. The E-leader was able to keep pressure on it for a while before dropping and going down to a bomb, but even with all these specials up and even with all the mana advantage that they do currently have, is not looking super great for Sweetshop, as they are taking their time and getting a solid push going.
I mean, they say healthy foods keep you alive for longer, and I mean, Healthy Diet Food Groups have been showing it. They've just not been dying, and they've just been picking off Sweetshop one by one, but right now, they're 2 dead, but Sweetshop only has that 10-attack splatter shot left. Eevee on this crab has just been insane. I can't believe just how many clips they're getting, but they do get taken out. So, before they can get much play going by Vernon on this very aggressive 10-attack splatter shot pick, And now sweetchop kind of has their last chance to get a push going, but their dueling squelchers goes down. Now it's 3 versus 3. Now it's 2 versus 3. And Vernon's just getting forced out, and Kingdra does not have the space to move. And there's only 30 seconds left in this game for sweetchop to make it all the way to 28.
Yeah, especially with, you know, almost all the members on Healthy Diet Food Group still up, that Dooley still has their crab. And, you know, even though they are getting the picks, it could still be really difficult. You know, an E-Leader is really hard to push up against, but the roller does get the crucial pick there, sets up the bubble, and is going to set up shop here and make sure that it is going to be, you know, the cards, they're trying to stack the cards in their favor to get this push going. They are trying to break through the checkpoint right now, but they are being pressured a little bit from afar from the Splash-O-Matic, but, you know, they do get a bit further. The E-Leader picks off a few players and is going to continue to really try to get the tower. You know, they're just dancing here, and it's only the T-Tech, but unfortunately, the game does go to Healthy Diet Food Groups in the end.
Lead! They got the lead! Sweetshop won!
Wait, what?
They won it!
Wait, I thought
They got the lead at the very end! The dancing dueling sculpture and Vernon on that T-Tech just barely got on the tower in time.
I thought that the timer ran out and that somebody from the other team had gotten on there, but no, they did take the lead. Sweetshop takes the 2-0 against Healthy Diet Food Groups despite the odds in that last game. Oh my god, sorry about that.
Sincerest apology to Sweetshop. We will never doubt your business again. My goodness. They set up a house on that tower, and that, you know, you have to commend Meowie on the dueling squelchers. Such good survival, and Vernon having all the right awareness to be right there when the tower would reach that checkpoint and just barely getting on it and surviving just long enough to get that lead back. And Sweetshop winning an unwinnable game, it seemed like, and they take the set over Healthy Diet Food Group's 2-0, and that means, I believe, that they make top cut. So incredibly well done to Sweetshop here. Very strong performance this tournament.
In both of those games, they went down, and then they got a sugar rush and just took it to the end. My goodness. Great job to both teams there, but the Sweetshop does take it to top cut, and we will see you then.
Yeah, we'll see you guys after just a quick short break, but make sure not to go anywhere because this hype is not stopping.
Hello and welcome back to Splatoon Advanced Circuit. My bird is being very loud, but we are here back in Top Cut. We're watching Gold Bracket right now, and we're going to be following Sweetshop once again as they face off against Nawal Gaming. Pinky, are you excited? I am.
I'm very excited for this, and your bird is very excited too. They just wanted to get right in on the action with you, but yeah, we are in Gold Bracket. This is Top Cut. These are the top 8 placing teams from our Swiss rounds, and now we have some best of 3 matches, you know, to determine who's going to move forth into round 2 and who gets eliminated at 5th place. But yeah, we just saw sweetshop, you know, very strong team. We saw a very dominant game 1 on zones, Inkblot, and we also saw a very clutch game 2 on tower control. But Nawal Gaming, you know, they're a strong team in order to make it here as well. They have some strong players here, so I can imagine we're going to see a great set ahead of us.
Yeah, Sweetshop is a much newer team than Nawal Gaming. They're, you know, I believe since, it says here since 2015 in some form or another, versus a team that I believe is much, much newer, but that's, you know, only more exciting. We have seen Sweetshop take it up against some really, really strong teams, so it's really going to be really exciting to see how they do here as we go forward.
Yeah, and I mean, these are both incredibly strong teams, and I mean, every team at this point in the bracket has to be incredibly strong. You know, these are the best of the best for this week's tournament, or I guess this bi-weekly tournament, but these are some incredibly strong players. We can see some great plays going forward in this set for sure.
Oh, 100%. So, yeah, this top bracket here is very, very exciting. I don't know.
we got a lot ahead of us. I mean, we just saw the bracket a little bit ago. SynRG actually won gold bracket last week and made it back to gold bracket again, so maybe they're coming for that back-to-back. We also saw Mercy taking that first seed. I believe Mercy and Watch Bochi the Rock, 2 teams that both went undefeated. I think they both went 5-0, so those are definitely 3 teams to watch, but these 2 are also teams to watch. I mean, these are they have to have incredibly strong players, as we've already said. You know, they're incredibly good at this game. They have to have made it to this point, so I'm just excited to see what happens.
Yeah, no, we also see Rabid, who had a really great run, I believe 2 or 3 rounds ago, and so it's going to be exciting to watch them go forward. You know, all these teams super, super strong, super exciting, but we're gonna see as we go into it sooner than later, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just excited for this top cut, and we do finally see the maps. We see the first map mode is going to be Scorched Gorge, which is, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see where the community lies on it. I feel like some players really like this stage, but some players kind of just wish it was out of the map list. But what's your personal opinion on this stage?
I think it's pretty good. It's definitely the most playable Scorched Gorge stage with the choke route. You know, the choke isn't too bad on this map. You know, it has the ramp, but you can the grates also aren't a terrible option to push up, and you can push into the plat further without, you know, sticking your neck out too far, but it's also easy to defend. I think it works pretty well, especially, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I think it works.
Yeah, and it definitely is the Scorched Gorge that, well, I wouldn't say it's the least incentivized to push forward, but I mean, on Clamlets, it is really difficult to push forward and lock people out of their own plat area. But if a team is able to do that, then that is a tremendous advantage, because you just have control over so much of the map, and notably you're pushed ahead of the clam basket, which means it's actually pretty easy for people to swim back and get some clams and even get power climb activated. So I don't know, this is a stage, and especially with Clamlets, it's going to incentivize a lot of team play and a lot of area suppression, just to make sure that your team can always move in more areas and has more options available than the opponents.
Yeah, and you know, we're gonna see a really big team fight in mid here. You know, if either of these teams decide to run a back line, we haven't seen that from Sweetshop, but we might see from Nawal. I'm not quite sure. You know, getting up on that tower is a huge spot, because, you know, you're able to watch all over mid. You're able to watch your own ramp. You're able to watch the enemy's ramp. You know, you have these sightlines over almost everything, so it's just huge. And if you can get there, it's big. But the big thing is getting there, and we are gonna be going right into it right here.
Yeah, this is going to be game 1 of the first match of Top Cut. This is going to be Sweetshop versus Nawal Gaming. We already see the double Tanatech come out on the side of Nawal Gaming. A very aggressive con for them in general, with the Wiper and the Splash to round it out. And there's a lot of quick respawn and comeback on their side as well, as opposed to Sweetshop, which only really has quick respawn on that Tanatech Splatter Jet from what I saw really quick. And Sweetshop is just going to be running that same comp that won the previous set in round 5, you know, that Splat Roller, getting that big bubbler charge. the dually squelchers and the Tenatech are just so strong, but right off the bat, it is Nawal Gaming with that strong first showing with that crab, getting a pick on the Tenatech. The Wiper does go down to their side, but now the Wiper has QR activated, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise. The Splash-O-Matic on the side of Nawal is just getting a lot of mileage, already got 2 kills, and Nawal is in a great spot to break this basket immediately.
Yeah, I was mentioning that how important it is to get backline up on top of that tower, but that crab is basically going to act like a backline, and that allowed Nawal Gaming to get a ton of control right out the gate and almost get a push going. They didn't quite have enough clams, didn't have quite the players or the specials, you know, just generally the research to make it happen. But right now, they are building a clam, they are 4 up, and they do have a few specials online, so they might see out of here another push. The tri-strikes do come out, putting pressure on their ramp, but the dual switchers are lying in wait, so you might see them come up from behind and, you know, really make a play, but they do go down instead. We're starting to get here. We are starting to get a good push going.
Yeah, but Kingdra is able to put that bubbler down, but they do go down, and Nawal has the numbers advantage. They're up 4 versus 2, and they're going to get that power claim to break that basket, and Nawal is the first one to pop that clam basket, and they get a few more clams in, but right now, their Tenatech is their main clam carry, and they're not able to get super close to the basket, but now the clams are starting to pile in, and Nawal got a fairly solid push to 62, but you can imagine they wanted more, and right now they're kind of being forced to retreat, and there it is. 3 of them are going to go down, and now sweetshop is able to get a lot of control in mid. We're seeing Vernon on this Tenatech splatter shot, just trying to get some nice picks. They do have their tri-strikes active right now, or the tri-strikes are online, and they're just popping right now just to quickly clear the path ahead of them. Nice assist on the Tenatech, but now it's 3 versus 2. Sweetshop has the man advantage, and they're able to break the basket and take the lead with 2 power clams.
This is kind of how sweetshop rolls. They get pushed on pretty hard. They get a lot of points scored on them, and then they suddenly take it back and really do well on the comeback here. But unfortunately, their push is over despite having a ton of clams, and they're going to cut their losses by backing out instead of, you know, pushing and overextending and getting a wipe themselves. And we are going to see Nawal Gaming immediately go for the comeback push here.
Yeah, these are 2 incredibly aggressive teams, but Nawal is just definitely the more aggressive team, you know, with multiple QR runs on that team, and they do get the lead right back with those 2 power clams. But right now they have the points total stalled at 41. The Viper is going to try and get one more just in, and they do get it stalled down to all the way to 32 as their teammates coming to get a few more clams. And that Tenatech on Nawal still has a few clams left. They're at 26 right now, but yeah, it's at 20, and that clam timer is reset. And Nawal Gaming has a lot of opportunity. If they want to get this knockout here, they only need a few more clams, but their Viper goes down. It's just their Tenatech left alive, and their Tenatech is going to back out, but getting a push down to 20 is incredibly respectable, especially since sweetshop only has about 2 minutes now to respond.
I mean, 2 minutes is plenty of time, especially if you're a team as aggressive as sweetshop. We saw just how fast they were able to get that first push. You know, it was a matter of like 20 seconds and they were in. They got the 2 clams in and took the lead, but, you know, we're going to see if they're going to be able to replicate that here as they get their clam in, and they are going to be start scoring right about now.
Yeah, we're seeing these dual squadrons. Ooh, they get taken out by the burst bomb before they're fully able to retreat. Get stuck on that graded ledge. And sweetshop only got a push down to 42. They got a good bit closer to that lead, but still not quite there. They have to get to 19 or lower if they want this lead from Nawal Gaming. And now Nawal is pushing so aggressively, but their splash gets a little too aggressive. Gets taken out by Soko on this custom junior. And now it's a 2 versus 2 scenario. Soko gets another kill on Aizen. Very well played. And now sweetshop has another super clan to play with, but they only have 1 minute time to get all the way over to Nawal's basket and to break it and to get that lead back.
It is obviously doable, though. We have seen stuff like this before, but unfortunately, the junior goes down, the splatter shot goes down. We are trying to see them trade picks a bit more, but the sweetshop is getting pushed pretty far back here. You know, they are starting to come up on the after getting a few picks. But this T-Tech is in a terrible spot right now, and we just see a big scrap in mid right now as sweetshop is so desperate to gain control.
Yeah, now he's just trying to just dance a little bit with those dually sculptures, just trying to use the mobility as best as possible and stay alive. They do get a nice pick on Aizen there with that on that wiper, and they're just trying to suppress. But right now, sweetshop is about 10 seconds left before they go into overtime, and overtime is only 20 seconds long. And the clam economy is just not quite there for sweetshop. They only really have that power clam, and the power clam carry gets taken out. And now we're going to enter overtime. 3 versus 3. Both teams are evenly matched right now. The custom junior on the side of sweetshop is the ball carry, but their Tenatech has one as well. There's still 3 versus 3 though, and a lot of this mid is painted in Nawal's color. But sweetshop starting to muster some man advantage, but they get taken out before they can get to the basket, and that's gonna not be enough time for them to do it. And Nawal taking the first game of the series.
That was a very close game. We saw a lot of places where sweetshop was very close to taking the lead back there. You know, it was very narrow, but that just shows the power of having those specials in overtime. You only have one shot, and when a single special, or like maybe 2 specials at most, can just completely stop your push in its tracks, that means, you know, you never want to be getting to that overtime scenario. So unfortunately for sweetshop, Nawal takes the first game, but we are going to see what they counterpick here in this second game.
Yeah, now that we're in top cut, we're starting to see some counter picks come out instead of just a set map list. So now sweetshop the onus is on them to pick a map that suits their advantage a little better, and probably to pick a map that is going to slow down the very aggressive and hot-headed Nawal Gaming that just kind of ran them over a little bit. And I mean, we know sweetshop is a strong team. We've seen what they're capable of doing, but right now, Nawal has the advantage right now, and if they win just one more game, then they move on through top cut.
We have seen sweetshop prosper on both zones and tower. Well, they didn't really prosper on tower, but they really took it back there. So it's going to be interesting to see what they pick and what map. It's going to be interesting also to see what map modes that they think their comp is going to excel on. So very excited to see that here. You know, that roller, they do run the roller with the bubble. So, you know, they might say, hey, I think that really is benefited on tower control despite roller's weaknesses on it. You know, they might say, hey, we have, you know, really a strong fundamental advantage in spot zones just because that's the mode we're most comfortable with. So, you know, it's always interesting to like see the psychology behind these picks and counter picks. So, we'll see that here pretty soon.
But notably, now that sweetshop lost the first game, Nawal Gaming has that counterpick advantage, because even if sweetshop wins this game, they're gonna have to win on Nawal's counterpick if they want to win this set. So this advantage is ever so slightly in the favor of Nawal. So this is certainly gonna be interesting going forward. I think they're still trying to pick out which counterpick is gonna go, but there's a lot of directions that sweetshop can go. As I mentioned, you know, they're probably gonna want to stop the aggression that Nawal has going for it. I'd imagine that they would not want to pick a map that is too lockout heavy. Maybe something like Inkblob, where it's a little bit easier to move back into mid, or something to that effect. Or maybe something like Museum, where you could sort of move around your own plat. I don't know. They certainly have a lot of options for where they want to go here.
It's also just going to be really hard to predict how these next matches go, because Clan Blitz is such an outlier. It's played so much differently, so much more aggressively, and so much, and yet on the other hand, so much less aggressively than the other modes. That it's like, if it's even on Clan Blitz, like we just saw there, where, you know, even though Nawal won, it was still pretty close throughout the entire match. How are the other modes going to be? Is it going to be a sweep on one side, or is it going to remain to be close? So that's just something that I've always noticed that I thought was super, super interesting.
And speaking of the sweep of one side, I just want to look. I've been looking quickly at this top cut bracket, because, you know, this is not the only match going on. There are other matches going on simultaneously, and Rabid is already into top cut round 2. They will not necessarily be facing the winner of this match, but props to Rabid. You know, a team that was very recently formed, not well documented, able to take out the Star Opium here in the first round. So you will likely see them later on in this tournament potentially. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening around this match, and right as I say it, this counterpick is picked, and it is in fact on Museum, but this time on Rainmaker, a mode that we have not seen sweetshop play on.
Yeah, no, that it's gonna be really interesting, because both of these teams, like we mentioned, both of these teams have super, super aggressive comps. And Rainmaker is one of those modes where, like, in 20 seconds, the lead can be flipped. It's so, so volatile, which makes it so interesting to watch. And especially with these teams with, you know, both running backlists, both running really aggressive weapons, it's going to be really fun to watch.
But it will. And Museum Rainmaker is just, it's very interesting with the decisions that you want to make here. You know, do you want to go on that safer ramp route on the right, or just the faster, riskier route through the spin to that first checkpoint? And that decision can really, I mean, it's a change in 30 points depending on which way you choose to go with. Obviously, most teams do opt to go with that ramp. It is a lot safer, but if you get that wipeout and you really want to make a quick push, going through that spinner is, there's nothing faster than it. I mean, you can just kind of zoom immediately from 90 points to 60.
Oh yeah, I'm such a big fan of the spinner with how, just exactly how fast you can push, which makes it really interesting because this map can be either super, super long or super short depending on the routes that you want to take and how really risky you want to be with it. And, the map topography is always changing, sometimes you have access to that, sometimes you don't, sometimes the plats are cut in half by the spinners and sometimes it's a bit more open. So it just really, I just love this map and how dynamic it can be sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, this map was brought from Splatoon 1 very faithfully and had a lot of great changes in place. With that checkpoint system on that Rainmaker, I feel like it was implemented well, and we're about to see it for ourselves. Here we go, game 2 of the series between Nawal Gaming and sweetshop. Nawal wins this and they win the set. Sweetshop option go to the SWAT dualies instead of the dually squelchers. Nawal bringing up the 52 gal here, so both very interesting comm switches here.
Immediately we see this wiper, hyper aggressive, basically Tetris that it is, go for the right pick, but the entire team of sweetshop decides to focus on it, and they do get collapsed on. But that means only the roller was left alive, and that means Nawal can get a super, super fast checkpoint. That is less than 20 seconds that happened. So super fast, but they're now already on the plat. They have a crab, they have specials, and they do push it all the way to 30. Less than 30 seconds into the game. That is insane. Super, super fast gameplay that we're seeing here.
I want to point out that was an insane play from both Aizen and Nero. Aizen, dropping right, which is somewhat suicidal, but they immediately get 2 picks for it, and they force sweetshop to just all collapse on them. And from there, the rest of Nawal's just pushing forward, and Nero on that 52 gal just put a nice wall and let them get all the way to 28 points, and already they're set up for defense because of that QR. They're able to come back just like that. But King Jaw gets 2 kills with that splat roller. Very well played from them. Trying to keep sweetshop in the running. And that's going to be the wipeout. Beautiful triple from this roller. And now sweetshop is going to break the first checkpoint themselves.
This roller player has been on nothing but roller, which it's a weapon that isn't particularly advantaged in this meta right now, but that really just goes to show how one-tricking a weapon can be. If you are able to get so mechanically skilled on a weapon that nobody really knows how to fight, you can get insane plays like that. But we're gonna see them try to push it as far as they can. This crab is skirmishing out there with that wiper, and they're gonna start to push up Soko on the Rainmaker right now, pushing up, reaching about 40 points, and they still have a bunch of points left to go, and that crab is going to put an end to things. Everyone but the roller is down, and that is basically it. What are they doing?
I mean, look, Chomper was just there eating up the entire team of sweetshop, eating up that push, but a push to 40 is very strong. It's just not quite strong enough to get this lead back, and that's the first 2 minutes gone. But this wiper here, Aizen is just getting a little too overzealous, gets picked off. The Rainmaker is going to get reset, and now it's going to be a battle for mid. Here come those tri-strikes from sweetshop to pop the Rainmaker and to force Nawal just a little bit further back. This wiper is already preparing to drop once again into 3 on the side of sweetshop, but decides against it. Aizen has just been going so aggressively with these picks, but with the QR as a buffer, it's been working out for them pretty well. They've been coming out ahead, and they get the nice pick on Vernon as well, and they're going to try and go for a few more. They don't quite get the second pick though, but they are able to distract 2 of sweetshop, and that's enough for Nawal to start getting a little more of their color into mid.
Yeah, we're gonna see, some picks coming out. This crab coming out with 2 players on them. They do get 1 pick and the other pick, so that's gonna be 3 down for sweetshop in terms of being able to push in. It's just the wiper. The wiper is really pressuring this Rainmaker, but the wiper does go down. But that means that a lot of plat is gonna be contested. They are 2 down, and they have a really strong shot at getting this lead here. As they start to file in. Unfortunately, they don't have quite the control to back up their push as they really run for it. They don't even gain any points out of that push, I believe. And it's going to be Nawal's game again, even though they're still on their plat. They are going to be quickly jumping out into mid and making sure that they cannot get their feet swept out from under them like you can in Rainmaker so often.
Yeah, Nawal's playing an incredibly strong defense, and now they have a crab at the ready to just buffer it up even more, but the tri-strikes are online for Vernon. Here they come, just trying to break him out, but the crab is still not out yet. It might have been a little preemptive, and here comes that crab. Gonna try and mow down the push. Vernon gets a nice pick on Aizen, but now it's getting wailed. They get the Rainmaker to 31, but it's still just not enough. 3 times sweetshop has gotten to the 40-point mark, and all 3 times they've not quite been able to get the Rainmaker.
Bomb double.
Nice bomb double from, I believe that was no, it wasn't even Soko, but or from this Tennessee, I guess. But I don't know, sweetshop is still in Nawal's splat. The roller gets the nice kill, dodging all the shots. sweetshop has the Rainmaker once again, and they have under a minute, but they're all there, but the roller gets taken up by Aizen. They just need to, they've been trying so desperately to get this lead from Nawal Gaming. It's 2 versus 2. It's the Rainmaker and the splat duel. He's only left alive. This Rainmaker is being so careful, just trying to dance, but that's the wipeout, and that's the lead. Going to sweetshop, trying for the knockout. They get stopped at 7, but it's just narrow on this gal to defend. The splash is coming back. That sweetshop gets wiped out, but Zoko doing such a beautiful job dancing through all of Nawal's shots and getting it down to 7, and now the shoe is on the other foot.
Dancing on the tower, dancing with the Rainmaker. What can't this man do to keep the objective? Oh my god, it's only 10 seconds left on the clock, plus overtime for Nawal Gaming. They have to get it all the way down to 7, but sweetshop is ready. They have their specials. They have the Waybreaker, they have the crab that's going to be coming out, they have the bubble, they have the Tri-Strike, and it's going to be all but, you know, basically over here as all of them come out. You know, Nawal is going down, you know, sweetshop has all the members up, and the Rainmaker is going to collapse on, and that is game 2 going to sweetshop.
sweetshop refused to give up time after time after time after time, and finally they broke through that wall and they got it out of Nawal's reach. Such resilience and persistence from sweetshop, and that's what won them game 2. And right now the set is 1-1, and we're going to move on to a game 3 winner take all.
Yeah, now you know, you were talking about how if they win this, you know, Nawal still has the counter pick advantage, so we're really gonna see here what they choose to try to stop sweetshop in their tracks. But my god, sweetshop, you know, really living up to their name. They really do have that sugar rush there. Keep going. They had the resistance to just chip away at Nawal's defenses until they could finally get that 3 down, get that wipe, and get so close to the goal, to the point where it was almost hopeless for Nawal to get it back. But my god, what are we expecting out of a game 3? I don't even know.
No, I mean, Nawal was in control for a majority of that game. Let's not get it wrong, but sweetshop was just pushing. So, I don't know. Nawal is a very aggressive team. Might even be more so than sweetshop, just with all the QR and just such a strong ability to send the right players to distract and the other players just file in to take advantage of it. So, maybe we'll see another map where the wiper, Aizen on that wiper, can act a little more as bait. Maybe we'll see a map where, you know, the other teammates can rush in just a little more effectively. I don't even know what could be in store here, but we're in store for a great game 3. That's all I know.
Yeah. I'm wondering, you know, with counterpick rules, they can't pick Clan Blitz again, I don't believe. But, oh, we see it! Splatzone's Flounder! I know you have some strong opinions about this map.
I love Splatoon's Flounder! Thank God they brought the stage back. Oh my god, thank you for letting me say that.
What an interesting map mode. You know, it's one of the only zones maps that isn't, you know, completely dominated by backline players, as there are no really great sightlines. You know, Expo does well, Bo does well, but, you know, your Spotlings and your Chargers aren't going to have the straight long lines of sight that they really want. So this is a map mode, and it also has a ton of flank routes, is something that's really interesting. So this is a map mode that both of these teams, I feel, are going to put a really good show on. We're going to see some really backwards play with, you know, players flipped around all over the place as they just go for the zones here.
Yeah, I think this is a great map mode for Nawal here. You know, this map mode really rewards mobility, movement, flanks, timing, self-awareness, and it really rewards individual playmaking. You know, you can make a really strong breakaway play going for the enemy zone and distracting them from behind, and all of a sudden it lets your teammates file in, and that's what we've been seeing Nawal do this entire set, getting so much value out of Aizen on that Sultana wiper. But sweetshop is capable of doing it as well, and they have some crab power on their hands to be able to just keep Nawal away from the zone. I think this map was really well suited to both of these teams here, so we'll just have to see which team can, you know, play to their advantages just a little bit better, because at this point these teams have shown that they're very evenly matched. They're able to go toe-to-toe with each other. So we're gonna hop right into it here. Game 3 of the first round of Top Cut here. sweetshop versus Nawal Gaming, and we are seeing Aizen going from that wiper onto that machine. We're not seeing a comp change from sweetshop. It's going to be a very interesting game 3.
This is going to be meta versus off meta, pretty much. You know, the C Junior is you know, pretty strong pick, and of course the T-Tech is ever present. But the dualies and the roller aren't something you see very often versus a team that's running, you know, double T-Tech machine splash. That's pretty standard here. But, you know, they really have something to prove that, you know, it's not always meta, and something to prove that, you know, a new team can so, you know, take a really strong set up against a really established team. So it's going to be exciting to see how it goes here.
Yeah, sweetshop gets the first cap, but they actually don't get any points for it, which means if Nawal gets the zone, they get a mild 1-point penalty, and that's going to be sweetshop getting wiped out. There's the penalty, the small penalty as it may be on sweetshop, and Nawal is the first to really set up a strong defense, and, you know, getting set up on Flounder Heights, while difficult, is extremely punishing for the other team. These torpedoes are coming out from, I believe, Soko on that C Junior, just trying to break the formation however possible. This roller drops down a little early, King Ja, but trying to find some pigs here. The Tenatech goes down on the side of Nawal Gaming, and here come those tri-strikes from sweetshop. The zone is a little bit stalled out, and King Ja is on the other zone, trying to paint over it. Gets taken up in a machine gun, gets a little overzealous, but the machine goes down to the bomb on the side of sweetshop, but still, Nawal Gaming is the one with the cap of the zone, and the zone timer takes below 50.
Yeah, no, it's looking really strong for Nawal Gaming, but it's nowhere near out for sweetshop as all their specials go out. They're starting to get the picks that they need, and they're starting to push in. They are getting the cap of their zone and starting to look into getting the cap of the other zone, and that is going to be the timer starting to tick down for them very, very shortly.
Sweetshop just trying to file in, but Nawal has such a strong defense right now, just trying to keep sweetshop out. Here's Chomper with that Tenatech, throwing those tri-strikes, just trying to keep sweetshop out of their zone as much as possible, out of their territory. He catches one of the walls, but they get caught. King Ja gets a nice trade, but it's still not enough. Sweetshop is still down, but now the numbers are 2 versus 2. It's just going back and forth. But Nawal Gaming is one with a cap, but one of sweetshop is still there, but they get taken out. That's probably going to be the end of the push, and yeah, sweetshop goes 2 down in the street. It's just the custom junior left, and Nawal is going to set up for another strong defense here.
Yeah, it really is not looking great for sweetshop, but you know, they are going to make the aggressive plays. We are going to see the roller try to get the cage back and take some control out here, you know, being sneaky, doing roller things. But specials are coming out from both sides. That crab is going to make sure that it's not going to be easy to push in by any sense of the word. The wave breaker comes out on the side of sweetshop, just trying to take any ounce of control that they can. You know, the zone is stalled here. It's not taking down as fast as it normally would because it only takes a bit of ink to really stall it for the entire game. But we see the roller once again go for a breakaway play, get in that bubble, and using it to hold their zone so strong, and they are going to work their way in.
Yeah, but the beautiful tri-strike play coming from sweetshop, but it's not quite enough. And now, sorry, from Nawal, but now sweetshop is starting to push up, and they get a cap. They're still stalled at 97, though. sweetshop has had the zone a few times, but they've not been able to push it past 90, and they go 3 down again. Nawal is gonna get this cap right back. They got it to 15, and they say, no, we want this knockout here. We want to seal the deal. And there's a minute and a half left on this match timer, and sweetshop really needs to make something happen. They're at an extreme disadvantage right now.
Yeah, this is a map where it's really, really hard to break out of your spawn, which does kind of hamper the ability to come back here. But they are going to try their best. Their specials are coming out once again. They're really, really going for it. They cancel that Booyah Bomb, not before it goes out, but, you know, it is their chance to really stall the zone even more, even though, you know, both teams have most of their members up at this point. It's just so hard to break out of this. It's an uphill battle to get back to the zone. Once you're on the zone, you're on an even playing field with, you know, players that already have their specials and are already set up. So it's just extremely difficult for them right now.
Yeah, sweetshop's been having a rough time, and they only have 1 minute left on this match timer to get it down to 14. But Nawal still has such strong control in the zone, and they're almost through their penalty. They're just contesting for the opposing zone, and they get it, and they're almost through their penalty here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 7. It gets stuck at 7. It's still stalled, and Nawal goes 2 down. This could be sweetshop's chance, but the roller King Jar gets taken out. They get this zone though, but still, there's members of Nawal Gaming still up. This fight is not won just yet, but now Nawal is 2 dead. It's the machine in the cage that they need to get to. All 4 of sweetshop are shooting the opposing zone, just trying to make sure that Nawal cannot make it close. Here come those tri-strikes to try and push Nawal as far away from possible, and we're about 10 seconds shy from going into that overtime, and sweetshop starting to make a push for their own. They're below 60 points. This is not far-fetched for them to make this comeback here.
Yeah, no, they have their crabs, they have their wave breaker, you know. Even though they are starting to get flanked and starting to get split up, they still have a very strong contender. The roller goes down, you know, the timer is ticking. They have to recap the zone or overtime is going to be over, even if they don't get it capped back. But it looks like it is going to go to Nawal Gaming.
Beautiful defense from Nawal, just splitting sweetshop up a little too far. They were not able to cover everything, and Nawal takes the set over sweetshop 2-1, and they're going to continue moving through this top cut bracket. Very well done.
What a show from sweetshop there, though. You know, if you're a new team that nobody has never really heard of, taking you know, a game and making the other games pretty close against a Div 1 extremely established team is nothing to sneeze at. You know, they really made a name for themselves here, especially making, you know, gold bracket here and, you know, just showing what they're made of. Extremely good job to both teams, though.
Yeah, I mean, sweetshop, as you said before, you got to commend that effort. Taking a game off Nawal and getting 5th place in gold bracket, it's incredibly well done, but it is Nawal that's going to move on through this bracket, and it's going to move on to round 2. But I mean, as I've said before, it's not the only match happened. I mentioned that Rabid took it over Opium a little bit ago, but SynRG also took the close game 3 set over Watch Bochy the Rock, and they're going to be the other side of bracket as well, going up against Rabid. And yeah, we're seeing the graphic right here. There's still one set left of round 1 that needs to be played, but after that, we're going to quickly go into round 2. So there's a lot of great tournament left.
But I don't know if you already mentioned, but that is going to be it for us. Pinky, where can we find you?
Well, you guys can find me at Twitter at brokenpinky_, the underscore being at the end of the name. A little bit silly, but you know what? It's okay. I'm a little bit silly.
It's not that weird.
It's a little. It's silly.
Weird.
It's
not
silly.
that
it's
weird.
silly. It's silly. I promise you, it's silly. But Weave, Weave, where can the wonderful people find you?
You can find me on both Twitter and Twitch at WeefSlider. But yeah, like I said, that'll be it from us. Thank you so much for watching us as we had these amazing games, but don't leave. There is nothing but more great sets ahead of us.
Yeah, we're going to be
Thank you for watching, though.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We're going to be tossing off to Walkie and Genie 7, so make sure not to go anywhere because the action will not stop today.
Hello everybody and welcome to SAC Season 6 Tournament 2. I am Genie7, joined with a special guest today. How are you doing today, Walkie?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited to see these, teams that are really starting to make a name for themselves and show how strong they are here today throughout, this entire series.
Yeah, we had a great match on stream between Sweetshop and Nawal. But now we've got the returning tournament champions, the Tournament 1 champions, SynRG versus Rabid. And SynRG, they've got a little bit more information that you can talk to me a little bit about, Walkie.
Yeah, SynRG, like you mentioned there earlier, they are the returning champions from the last tournament 2 weeks ago. And not just that, they've, been a regular in SAC throughout the seasons. Last season, they were consistently placing in gold, second, third places, and then finally got that victory last week. Filled up of members such as Cap, Half, Respect, Noob, and Pose. And, those guys are all of them really starting to really show how strong they are as a team.
Yeah, really starting to break out of that super central mid-level, going to that upper excellence of the mid-level teams that we have. And Rabid, I've seen them have other good performances in IPL tournaments. They didn't play under, if they did play as a team, they didn't play under Rabid for the last SAC tournament that I saw and commentated. But they have been performing well, and I know they can take it to SynRG. And I know that this set will be really good. They've been waiting for a while, and here we go. Splatzone's Brine Water. Here we go.
Yeah, very interested to see the comp side of these teams coming out. We start off with an E-leader over here on the side of Rabid, and then on the other side we see the double splash coming out of SynRG, the sloshing machine, 10 attack. So they've got a pretty standard comp going on over there versus, a little bit different going on the side of Rabid as both teams just first start, duking it out over the zone. We've already got a crab at the ready, throwing it against the zone. The tri-strike's going right back at them as well. So both teams just really duking it out to see who could win up this first fight and get that nice control of the zone here.
A lot of good damage for that Wavebreaker. Adept is just trying to go around, swim around with it with the rest of the members of Rabid that are still alive. But SynRG, they've got their respawns and they are making their way back in. Double Wavebreaker comp coming out of Rabid. I really like to see that.
Yeah, the wave breaker, just in zones in general, could just force so much people away from the zone, force them to just back up onto their own side of the map, and that'll just give you control of the zone itself, because you're gonna paint it even though the special doesn't. So a nice way to control a lot of the tempo and force a couple players out. They don't really see Half here, who's Sharkin, gonna be able to get the possible pick onto Squeak with no whiffs, a couple of shots right there, and that's going to be unfortunate. Luckily, though, they were in control of that zone at that time, so they were still going to be ticking down on points, and as well, they did manage to get 2 down, going down eventually. So although it didn't work out right there on that Shark, the rest of the team was able to make up for it, and this is looking pretty good for SynRG as they got no penalty timer, and we've already down to 40 ticks basically.
Rabid's got tri-strikes that are going to be coming out in the zone. Aaron's going to look for some shots. Wavebreaker down. SynRG's going to counteract with their own tri-strikes to the zone and keep sticking down. Crab is going to be out. Rabid, more tri-strikes going in, but is not able to neutralize zone. Members going down on both sides. Who is going to be able to get in on the side of Rabid? That's good. Both splash is gone. Either trying to find some shots. See Candy on the right side, goes for a trade, and the zone will be capped for Rabid.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed right there to win that team fight. All work together to really, to stop that penalty or stop that counter for SynRG right there. If they were not able to win that team fight, it was going to be the end of the game. Now they are in a little bit of control. Going to see how they want to approach this one. It's so hard to kind of push up into the base of SynRG when they've got those burst bombs. They've got the sloshers at the ready. They've got the crabs, and it can just be so devastating to try to push up into that. So far, it seems like they were able to bring the fight back towards mid, and that kind of worked out in their favor here. We see Candy going to a 2v1 situation, all but another one comes out from behind. You see Faith right there coming in with the sloshing machine, trying to help out the rest of the team. But once again, Rabid able to come out on top of that team victory, and now they're going to be in the lead here, and whoever wins this team fight might be the one winning the game.
Tri-Strike's going to be coming out. That's going to be really, really good. Candy goes in for Rabid, going deeper and deeper. Half is going for a little bit of a flank play. Can they get to the zone and neutralize it in time? The small zones. So they see Adapt. Adapt just sharking around. Aaron with that charger. Lots of paint down on the side for SynRG, but they can't cap the zone in time. They can't neutralize it, and that's going to be Rabid taking game 1.
Yeah, great showing from Rabid to, turn that one completely on its heels. There was, like we said, there was a point where if they didn't win that team fight, the game was easily going to be going over to SynRG. But once they were able to win that one, they really showed their strength. You mentioned it there at the end. Candy did exactly what they needed to do, pushing up into the enemy spawn, and they got a quick pick. And I think that kind of set the tone for who was going to win that last fight.
We saw halfway through that game when the control was in favor of Rabid. We saw Candy and Adept in zone, spacing it around after one of the crab tanks on the side of SynRG had taken out both the junior and the E leader. And it was a 2v4 scenario that SynRG was able to take down into individual 2v1 fights, even though they were the team that had 2 members and SynRG had 4, and they were to win every single one of those 2v1s, allowing them to not only hold on to zone and not get a penalty applied to them, but really, really smash SynRG's mental.
Yeah, you definitely hit it right on the head right there. There was just that point where they were all like kind of ganging up on each other. And yes, sometimes in the 2v1 situation, one of them was going down, but then there was another one who was just coming back from spawn or wherever to just fill their place right there. And it just worked out wonderfully for Rabid. And now, the onus is on SynRG. They're the defending champs. They got the counter pick in their hands right now. So I'm very interested to see how, what they elect to go for in this game, because that was a pretty close back and forth. Do they elect to, stick it out onto splat zones or move on to a different mode?
That is something that I would love to pick the brains of SynRG. They struggled in finals last time. They went down 0-2 in a best of 5 and brought it back in a reverse sweep fashion. So it's not unlike them to have their backs up against the wall, and especially in this tournament series. But for maps that I think they might go to, they have enjoyed some more Rainmaker and Clan Blitz action from what they did play last tournament. I don't know if that's what they're going to want to go to again, but it also would help to try and get the E-leader in a more uncomfortable position on the side of Rabid.
Definitely. The moment you said, they felt comfortable with Rainmaker in the past, you could see it quite clearly from the comps that they run very fast-paced. And you are right, we are going to be going over to Rainmaker Undertow Spillway. And I think that definitely plays into the pace that they want with those fast shooters, the sloshing machine as well. So it definitely plays into what, this team is kind of built around. And on the flip side, it does possibly force the backline on the side of Rabid to either switch things up or hit their shots or lose the game.
Yeah, E-leader on Undertow Spillway Rainmaker is not very common at all. We've seen throughout all levels of Splatoon, E-leader players definitely swapping off. They can go to the V-Charger, but that's another story for another time compared to E-leader and being able to swap off that weapon so easily. So for SynRG, this on paper looks very, 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 very favorable to them.
Definitely. And this is the time where on Rabid, they need to see what we all want to see. Do they have some type of, pocket weapon that backliner could go to that'll work in a Rainmaker situation, and not just a mode that kind of works against a E-leader, but also a map that kind of works against them, as you were mentioning there. The E-leader not too popular of a weapon on this, no matter the mode. So it doesn't really have the greatest, sight lines. There's a decent amount of cover for people to hide around, and so I could definitely see that player just bringing out something different here to trying to give Rabid a chance.
I'm gonna see if we're gonna see a 52L coming back out on the side of SynRG. They had it last week. I want to see if they're gonna bring that weapon back out, and no, they won't. They had it last time, didn't work out. Neither team got checkpoints last time they played this map. So
SynRG does have the 52 gal on Silly Cat.
96 gal.
That's
what I have to say.
Okay.
Sorry.
Both teams busting out the gal, so we aren't going to be seeing a backline. Instead, they elect to bring out, like we said, the gal, the junior, and the tri-slosher. So it's a very different comp coming out from Rabid this game, and I think it plays into that fast pace we were talking about that they kind of needed if they wanted to combat what SynRG was going to be bringing out. Here we see Faith on the right side, just trying to feel things out. And unfortunately runs out of ink right as Aaron just approaches right there and able to easily take them down. Aaron now being pressured on his own and has to back out. The Rainmaker was quickly picked up by SynRG, but goes down right away as they were only able to get 1 point right there, as both of these teams haven't really found the exact footing that they want to start off this game. Possibly now Rabid with those tri-strikes is going to be able to go in.
Can Adept find Faith? No, they see Poise gets them down and able to stay alive. Has it inked it as well. Gonna be popping it. Looking to find some members of SynRG. They're all veering on that left side, going towards where that Rainmaker is going. How is Rabid going to be able to survive this?
Yeah, right there now, you see Squeak pushing up with that Rainmaker. They were able to get 2 down. They should be able to get the checkpoint right here. If Aaron actually just needs to step up and make sure that no one's able to get to Squeak. Unfortunately, though, Aaron's going to go down, and Silly Cat and the rest of SynRG are going to be able to capitalize right there off that little bit of hesitation where there was a moment where they were able to get that checkpoint, and they just unfortunately were not able to push on through and break it. And that could, you know, spell pain for them down the line, as they are going to wish that that wasn't there, so they could rack up some points. Faith, though, gonna go down quickly in the middle. SynRG not able to do too much on the offensive right there. Candy able to pick up the last remaining member who was in mid. And once again, they're gonna be on this push. Let's see if they have any hesitancy on this push.
It's gonna be tight. Rabid is trying to go in, but they are getting flanked. Are they able to take the member out of SynRG? They will be. Crab is out from SynRG. This is gonna force the defensive play from the Rainmaker. I'm gonna play a little bit further back. A lot of members on the defense for SynRG are pushed back past the pedestal. So this should be good for Sweet to get to the Rainmaker, but no, they can't half-shift them down. Where's the machine going to be coming in from SynRG? Will they be able to stop the Rainmaker? No, they're still stuck in spawn.
Yeah, we saw one of the players on the side of Rabid was already pushed up. It was that Tri-Slosher who was already pushed up into their base right there, and that just made sure that the sloshing machine was not able to reach that Rainmaker in time before they got that checkpoint. So nice push coming out from Rabid. Next time they won't have to deal with that checkpoint now, and now it's all on SynRG to see what they're able to do here, as they haven't really been able to pass mid on any of their pushes. We see Adapt just going quickly for the Rainmaker and is able to take them down right before getting taken down themselves. So a nice trade coming in there to slow things down and make sure that there is no type of momentum on SynRG's side.
And you just see how SynRG just completely stops. They realize the Rainmaker gets taken out, and they all stop. No one else is taking space, and they're all just taking 1v1 fights. That play from Adept was so good at breaking up SynRG's game plan. That was insane.
Yeah, Silly Cat unfortunately able to take him down right there right before they were trying to jump out. And once again, we see Adapt. As soon as they get that Rainmaker past mid, Adapt's already in their base. Gonna get taken down, though, as they were a little bit pushed a little bit too far against the 1v3 situation right there. And that's gonna be another push stopped by SynRG. They've been decent on the defense, but they have had no offensive presence thus far in this game. They do have the Booyah Bomb at the ready. Might elect to use that soon. And another trade just happens right there for them, but we're still fighting on their side of the map right now, and things are just not looking too good for them.
No, SynRG, they need to get some points on the board. Nothing past 94, and we've got a minute 15 left. They've got Crab, they've got Killer Whale. They're getting close. They're getting closer to a Zuka. The Crab half is going to be grabbing this Rainmaker, looking to find some space. But Rabid, they're just hiding out in the corner.
Yeah, right now half though is being heavily pressured by a couple members on the side of SynRG and or Rabid rather, and they're gonna get taken down really quickly. Once again, only a push to 91, not too strong right there. They're gonna need a lot more than that in the last 40 seconds. The good thing right now is that a couple members were grouped up right there, though. Aaron able to take them down. We've got the Killer Whale 5.1 just got its eyes set on Aaron, somehow able to get away from there completely pink, and just dips and dodges their way out of that one. And unfortunately for SynRG, that Rainmaker is going to reset, and they're going to kind of have to start back from mid. They're able to start off with one pick onto that 52 gal, but they got to do something quick here if they want to win this one, Genie.
They got to do something really quick. If they want to stay alive in the tournament, they want to stay the defending champs, they got to find a lot of points, and they got to find a lot of points very, very, very soon. Half is going to be taking this Rainmaker on the left side. Fade and Poise are not really protecting them on this front side. Half is trying to get towards that pedestal. We're going to be making our way in overtime. Rabid, they're going to have some defensive specials to be able to stall out this Rainmaker on this pedestal. But can the specials stay alive in time? SynRG trying to find some more space. Half is just kind of stalling out time, waiting for SynRG to get a big, big pick. And their timer's going really, really, really low.
Yeah, this might even tick down on them if they're not too quick about it. They do manage to get 2 picks though, and that might be the opening here. They're gonna have to do something. You can't always wait for the perfect situation here. You're just giving the enemy team time to respawn here. The bombs and the Toxic Mist kind of stalling them out right there, and that's just gonna be the end of SynRG's push and the end of their tournament run, as Rabid played a pretty good defense right there to stop them. And SynRG, you have to wonder it seemed like they had a couple opportunities to at least push that Rainmaker, but they elected to kind of stall it out and wait for maybe a complete wipe. But in an overtime situation like that, you can't always guarantee that you're going to get a wipe.
No, and congratulations to Rabid. They played